X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your things now. Show you how.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. Hey there, Lord Rose 97, JL's Chicken 1, Periwinkle 43, Avalon of Babylon, Big Man J, Orther's Dork, Morgan Grail, Astronaut Lad 172, Delancer, good to see you, Citizen Godfather, what's up, Cryptid T, how are you, Napoleon, hello, TSW the Shadow Wolf, good to see you in chat, Water, what's up, how are you doing, hello, hello. Good to see you here, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. God, what a wild week it has been, huh? It has been quite the wild week. I'm hoping we can make today a no drama stream, but I have no doubt that somehow we'll get pulled into it in some way, shape, or form. Let's hope not, but for God's sakes, I just want to relax. Can we just relax? Can we just vibe? E3 is drama, not drama that I'm involved in, okay? Lego Fortnite today. No, we're just doing politics segments today. Tomorrow, Ethan might be more up to stream, and I might stream Lego Fortnite with him. It's impossible to avoid drama, Zan. You're a bread tuber? Yeah, you're not wrong there. It pretty much sticks to me like a magnet, but what can you do? Yes, I will be discussing that, Citizen Godfather. I will be. Oh my god, I can't believe Zan personally killed E3. Yeah, that was all me, guys. It's my fault. It was me! Hey, Hashed, what's up? E3 was created in the early 1990s by the head of Sega of America. Yes, it was. I'm pretty sure, at least. It's pretty old. It's surprisingly old. I thought it was more of like a 2010s thing. Vosh said he doesn't know what your beef with Keffels is about in his last stream. I think he's being just trying to avoid the drama, because he does. I've talked to him about it. Just got back from drunk driving. How are you, Sanderhall? I love drunk driving. Whiskey is my paint, the road is my canvas, the car is my brush. Look how they massacred my boy. What is this? What is this? Old El Paso, extra mild, super tasty fajita. Make it Mexican. What? Is this like the British version?
Mexican flavor with none of the heat. With the extra mild, super tasty range from Old El Paso.
What was that? Why did you send me a fucking meme? That was a commercial for fajitas. I love fajitas, but why? Okay. You know, I appreciate it. Extra mild? Oh, is it because it's extra mild because the British? Ah, okay. I see it now. There you go. That made no sense to me. Like, what was the point of that? It was just a commercial for fajitas. The West has fallen, indeed, yes. There is a fajitas commercial on TV. We have fallen. We are being replaced. It is over. Pack it in. Go home. We're done. The white race has been annihilated. Dude, I love how, like, people who are super great replacement theory believers, like, they talk about it, and there's this implication that, like, the white people that are around today will be replaced. And when you hear that, it makes you think, like, oh, you'll cease to exist, and you'll be replaced by non-white people. But the idea is that after you die of natural causes, way in the future, that you would not be, like, population-wise replaced with a white person, is the idea behind it. So even if it were true, it wouldn't mean anything bad for you. You wouldn't literally be getting replaced. That's not what it is. Zan, could I come on and pick your brain about the Twitch policy change and some related stuff surrounding it? Maybe. But at the moment, I'm pretty, like, booked up with all of my topics that I have set to cover today. But maybe tomorrow when I'm doing, like, just a random gaming thing, because I'm sure I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe then. Give your opinion. I really... Do you want to know what my actual take is, guys? I really don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck about titties on Twitch. It really does not bother me. It doesn't upset me. Neither does gambling on Twitch. What bothers me is the people who are against gambling on Twitch tend to be in favor of titties on Twitch, and the people who are against, like, titties on Twitch tend to be in favor of gambling on Twitch. Have you guys noticed this trend? Like, the same people who are super anti-gambling streams are also the same ones who are fine with, like, Twitch titty streamers on, like, defending it on Twitter, and then vice versa. Where, like, the dudes who are super into gambling streams and defend it are also the loudest, like, virtue signaling about how bad titty streams are. I genuinely don't give a fuck about either. The internet is not a safe place for kids. It never has been. It never will be. Attempts to make it a safe place for kids will just make it suck for all us adults, okay? The fact is that, frankly, the generation of parents that is raising Gen Z on the internet fucking sucks. Just a shitty generation of parents raising their kids with the internet. Using it as a babysitter. And absolutely fucking over Gen Z in a lot of respects. Because, let's be clear, access to the internet that early in life cannot be healthy. It can't be. It simply can't be. Zan titty stream when? I feel like if I like squeezed my chest together, I could probably conjure some A cups. You know? Just conjure some A cups. I gotta get beefy, dude. I gotta get like super beefy, so I've got like middies, man titties, middies. It's so over, guys. It's so fucking over. Zan, workout stream when? Honestly, I've already been starting my workout routine now that I've finally settled here. I've got kettlebells that I use. The main issue is that, like, whenever I do bicep curls with one hand, if I do it with two hands, it doesn't happen. I think because I can, like, do it in a motion that doesn't fuck me up. But I get this like clicking right here, like right in here, like just click, click, click every time I bring my arm up when I'm doing curls. And if I do it like this type of curl, it doesn't happen with the kettlebell. So I've managed to solve that problem there. Ew, I get that with my knees. It sucks. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, it's really not fun when your muscles are fine to keep pushing, but your joints are just like, haha, I'll fucking hurt, and I will injure you permanently if you just keep pushing. And it's like, fuck me, dude. Oh, great. That's awesome. Thanks. I'm late. What's up? Just talking about working out. I sometimes get clicking in my shoulder with cable face pulls. Yeah, we're not doing too good in that department. It's not great. It's not great, but I'm working around it. I'm going to work around it. I think building up more muscle around those joints will just help to solve the pain. You know? Hole streaming when? Like digging a hole. Ah, yes. Very soon I will do the hole stream where I'm digging a hole. The entire stream. We're going to see how deep of a hole I can dig as the stream goes. That'd be interesting. That'd be a good workout. Okay, everybody. Be quiet. 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 All right. All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. I've got very sad news for you all today. Many of our childhood dreams have been stolen from us, just steps before we were able to achieve it. You see, when I was a kid, I practically grew up on the internet from like 10 to now, right? Like I spent a lot of time on my computer once I got one. And so a lot of my cultural development as a person came from the internet, and particularly from the gaming community and just being, you know, a gamer and being online from a young age. And when you're like a young gamer and you're growing up like in the early 2010s, around that time, something that very quickly becomes like a second Christmas for you. A second Christmas for gamers, for lack of a better term. Like a second birthday, too. There are 3 things you'd be excited every year for as a gamer. Birthday, Christmas, E3. The Electronic Entertainment Expo. 3 E's. As, you know, each thing starts with an E, and so they call it E3, because, you know, you get it, right? It's not that complicated. Anyway, it's clever, though. Apparently, E3 started way back in the 90s, which surprised me when I first heard about it. But, you know, obviously, every year, I would be excited for E3, because it was this consolidated day where almost every single upcoming game release that would be, you know, worth being excited for in the near future was announced all at once. All the games. So you would just wake up Oh, E3 happened today. Oh shit, let me get on YouTube and see all the new game trailers. Because even games that weren't at E3 dropped their trailers on that day because that was the day to drop your game trailers. So it was like Christmas Day, just a wave of new games being announced. And obviously you had your mainline franchises like Assassin's Creed, COD, you know, so on and so on, which always got a new game announced, and so you're curious to see what the new one was going to be. But then there were whole new franchises getting announced, sequels to games that you really liked, but you never really expected them to get a sequel. And I really miss those times, because it kind of feels like we've lost that in the last couple of years when COVID happened, and they announced they were temporarily, or I should say indefinitely, canceling E3. Indefinitely doesn't mean forever, it just means unless said otherwise. So there was still just a sliver of hope we might get a E3 back. That is until a couple days ago, when we got this news. E3 is permanently canceled. That's right, those dreams I had of watching YouTube videos as a kid and just wishing so badly I could go to E3 myself and be there as an adult to witness new games, new hardware, new consoles, new peripherals, whatever it may be getting announced, there, live with everybody, there to witness the hype of everybody else and to be part of it. That dream can never be fulfilled. I'm sure at some point a new group will come along to basically take E3's place, but at the time being, there is nothing like that. The Game Awards is not really... I don't really see it as on par. I just don't. I don't. Wasn't God of War 2018 announced at E3? Do you remember that, like, famous video where, like, they first announced the game and unveiled it, and the entire audience freaks the fuck out? I'm pretty sure that was at E3. Like, E3 was just a massive convention center filled with stadiums of people with a big, like, movie theaters, basically, where they would announce games. And the idea behind it was that it would be a surprise when they did the main event, like what games they would cycle through announcing, you know? But yeah, gosh. It's so sad. It was... Oh, let's look at the video. Dude, okay. Let me just give you guys a peek into how hype E3 was, okay? This is from E3 2016. I know this is uploaded back in 2021, but this is from E3 2016. And I believe it was the same E3 that The Last of Us 2 was announced at. Gosh. This was just one room of the building at E3. This was just the Sony room. So people were there, and there were speculated games, like people, like by this point, Sony Spider-Man 1 had already leaked, so people were expecting that. It was not Sony Spider-Man 1 that got announced at this E3, but it was something people did not expect. God, this is so nostalgic.
That dumb hammer doesn't scare me.
Imagine being in the audience for this.
Boy,
No one knows what this is.
boy.
That's the game director. He's nervous as fuck. Because this is live gameplay, and the game director is up on stage, pretending to just be some guy. And he's nervous
Your
as
mother's
shit
knife.
unveiling the game to the world.
It belongs to you now.
Wiping the sweat off, yep.
What for?
He's nervous.
A test. She taught you to hunt, yes?
Yes, sir.
Then show me what you know. I am hungry. Feed us.
Dude, could you imagine being in the crowd for even one announcement for a game that is that hype? I know we've got BlizzCon and like the fucking PlayStation events and the Xbox events, but it's also disjointed now. Everything's been split up to a bunch of different events. You can't get your one ticket, save up for that one ticket a year, that one vacation a year, where you go to the gaming convention, where everyone's at. Your favorite YouTubers, your favorite, like, game directors, your favorite, like, competitive gamers, your friends are there. I know, Gigasoy and all that, but come on. Let people enjoy things. I feel like COVID did this thing where it shutting down so many conventions allowed for this sort of like growth on the internet of unironically shaming people for liking any form of escapist media to the extent that they like get excited for it, you know? Like I feel like the soy meme in response to enjoying things, it came and really hit its like popularity peak during COVID, when all of like the conventions and stuff were shut down. And so all that kind of culture wasn't able to sort of flourish online as much as it normally would. And we had this sort of really pessimistic, you can't like things idea sort of take off. Does that make sense? It's the end of the road for what was once the biggest gaming showcase, as its parent company has confirmed that E3 has been canceled forever. It's official. E3 is dead. The long-running Electronic Entertainment Expo has faced numerous challenges over the last several years, and after a failed attempt to revive it, once again this year, its parent company has confirmed that it's ending the gaming showcase. Where is even the profit in this, though? I'm actually curious. Like, was it really that unprofitable to run E3? I feel like... Wasn't it run by Sega? Maybe. After more than 2 decades of hosting an event that has served as a central showcase for the US and global game industry, the Entertainment Software Association has decided to bring E3 to a close. ESA, I guess, not Sega. ESA President and CEO Stanley Pierre-Louis said to the Washington Post, "We know that the entire industry, players and creators alike, have a lot of passion for E3. We share that passion. We know it's difficult to say goodbye to such a beloved event, but it's the right thing to do given the new opportunities our industry has to reach fans and partners." Fuck off. People like that. What do you mean, new opportunities? If they're worse, clearly. E3's downward slide began several years ago as major partners like Sony, EA, and Nintendo pulled out of the annual event and instead opted to hold their own individual events during the not E3 season. Ah, there you go. The worst fucking companies in all of the gaming industry all splintered off to force people to buy tickets for their own individual event and have exclusivity over their showcases of their games. Nintendo has been the worst about it. For those that don't know, and people love to dick ride Nintendo in my chat, but I will never stop shitting on Nintendo. Nintendo literally, and they still do this to an extent, but it was so much worse. There used to be a time where if you showed a Nintendo character, like a clip art of a Nintendo character in one of your YouTube videos, Nintendo would copyright strike your entire channel. A strike. You could not stream or upload Nintendo games. You could not upload animations or memes involving Nintendo characters. They would fucking axe the shit out of you. Nintendo is possibly the most ruthless and anti-consumer company in all of the gaming industry. I think they actually beat out EA. The only thing they've got going for them is they make good games. They actually do make good games. The game developers they have enslaved are doing good work. Konami, what about them? Yeah, basically imagine what Konami did to Hideo Kojima times 10 or like 1,000 because however many employees there are at Nintendo. Like, do you think the people who worked on Breath of the Wild got to go up on stage? The majority of people who worked on Breath of the Wild got to go up on stage and accept an award about it? Or do you think they were forced to stay at the office and work? I don't know. I am a Nintendo hater. An official, certified, bona fide, boner-fide, if you will, Nintendo hater, okay? I hate their consoles. I like their games. It's as simple as that. And you can, frankly, play their games not on their consoles, which is, like, the best of both worlds, right? Like, isn't that the best of both worlds, to not have to pay Nintendo for either A, their consoles or their games, and to play their games with better performance on a better platform for free with free online? By the way, the fact that you guys think there's a contest between PC and console when console players have to literally pay for online services on the internet they pay for, on the console they pay for the game that they paid for, when with a computer it's just buy the computer, buy the game, buy the internet, you're good. It's insane. It is insane that, like, they released the PS4 and suddenly started charging you for live services like Xbox did, and you all just like ate it up. You just accepted it. You just accepted it, just straight up. You accepted paying monthly for online services. That's crazy. And the funny thing too is, Fortnite has negotiated with both of those platforms to have free, like you can play Fortnite for free without Xbox Live if you have internet, or PlayStation Plus if you have internet. So there's no like physical limitation. They're just wringing it out of you and you're accepting it when you have like computers as an option. Please. Break the shackles. Break your own shackles, for God's sakes. I know I got a little sidetracked here, but I feel like it's related, you know? There used to actually be, prior to Gamergate and all that awful time, there was this time where there was a group of YouTubers on YouTube that made really good gaming content about, like, console versus PC. They were, like, PC Master Race, as they called them, content creators. And it was, like, a play on an obvious reference. But, like, the idea behind it was debunking these, like, torrents of videos made to explain why consoles were actually better than PC. And their videos were not smart, they weren't well made, and their arguments weren't good, so watching, like, Rags or Bullet Berry, just, like, or Fratanga Plays, just, like, destroy those arguments was really satisfying, you know? It was always really fun. I miss that era of content. All three of those people have moved much more towards making, like, anti-woke content now, so it's rough, but it is what it is. Gaming rots your brain, it turns out. Who could have thought? How'd you guys like that segment? I feel like it turned out pretty good. Where are you in Final Fantasy XIV? I literally finished Post Heavensward an hour ago. It was awesome. Hell yeah. I just finished Stormblood. And I'm in between Stormblood and Shadowbringers. I haven't started Shadowbringers yet. I started the Dark Knight questline, found out it wasn't voice acted at all, got really disappointed, rage uninstalled FF14, and I will return to it when I want to stream it, because I'm just going to stream through the MSQ. I was told, like, I needed to do all the role quests to fully understand the story or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm not doing the role quest stuff. It sucks, because I really, really hate, I really, 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 really hate the fucking... Oh, am I just getting shit-talked by this random loser in YouTube chat? Jesus Christ. Why didn't you guys say there's a troll in the chat? Anyway. Yeah, like, I don't know. I wasn't very happy with FF14 not having voice-acted side content. Hate reading? Hate reading. Hate reading. Refuse to do it in video games, guys. I read enough in my daily life. I don't want to read when I play video games. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry. I really don't like reading when it comes to video games, except for subtitles. Yeah, I'd rather read a book. Exactly. Dyslexia, a little bit of that. Hey Zan, hey chat. One of my girlfriends bought me the Battle Pass. Battle Pass based. Fortnite Battle Pass. It's a good meme. Alrighty. Let me get the next segment ready.
Is bad faith in its entirety.
God damn it, Twitter. Spoiling it. Spoiling it. Spoiling it. Spoiling. Yeah, we're about to cook, chat. DJ Mule debate. When? God damn it. I hate that Opera just doesn't know how to remember what window you want to open tabs in. Alright. Fucking hell, this is gonna be crazy. Alright, everybody. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, everybody. This is a little bit more of a serious topic, and I know that people have been so excited to hear my take on this because of reasons that I'll get into in a moment, because I guess it is somewhat relevant backstory, I guess, for you guys to know my relation to this situation. But as you can imagine, I actually don't want to use this segment as like an I told you so type thing. The fact is that the person who's been accused of these awful things that I'm going to get into in a moment is a fairly known person in this space, and I do feel a responsibility to voice support for the aggrieved in the situation. But I know that due to the history I have with the individual involved, it's going to come off a certain way to some people. So I ask that you guys please don't like use this as some sort of like drama mongering, like, I told you so party thing. I don't even know how to describe it. Just, can you guys promise me to be respectful of the required seriousness of the situation? Alright, so, there is a content creator in this space by the name of Sophie from Mars. She is a lefty video essayist, I believe. I actually am not very familiar with her content itself. All I know is that my first ever interaction with her was years ago when I was falsely accused of having a sex cult. Now, at the time, pretty much everybody on the left, even some people that I was pretty good friends with, was kind of believing the allegations because I hadn't had the time to make my response with all their receipts yet. However, one person put out support for these allegations, and after the evidence came out that they weren't true, never revoked them. And that, of course, was my introduction to Sophie from Mars. This was the tweet that kinda introduced me to her. I love saying Xander Hall had a sex cult far more than I love carrot cake, and I love carrot cake a lot. Obviously, this tweet has been thoroughly dunked on, plenty, way more than needs to be added onto by this stream, but, it's funny because the reason I bring this up is that Sophie from Mars was the reason the DJ Mule video, the famous DJ Mule video on me, was even made in the first place. God, my mustache is itchy today. Oh. I'm not even joking. That video by DJ Mule was made on me because of Sophie from Mars and their friendship.
So, talking about bad faith, this is bad faith in its entirety. While Xander Hall is talking about this, his chat further adds to the narrative that Sophie is a monster, calling her a psycho amongst other bad faith arguments. Who is this Sophie? It's not the Sophie I know. The one that I've spent literal days with, who loves and cares about her friends. She loves and cares about her comrades so much and is desperate to get people to change the horrific world that we live in. I certainly wouldn't call her a psycho.
Thank you, DJ Mule. So, funnily enough, I actually did not remember what, like, Sophie from Mars had done to slight me whenever I heard about the news that came out a couple days ago. I'd actually not heard, I'd not remembered it. And I had to, like, get my memory jogged by Cherry, because at this point, there's been sort of a long line of people who've done this kind of stuff, so it's like, what did Sophie from Mars do again? Wait, what was her... Oh, okay. Well, that's sort of like a reminder of who she is. This has sort of been her interactions with me and my community to this point. On top of that, apparently, I just got this as well. I didn't actually see this before. Apparently, on top of that, she supported Lonnie, my abusive ex. This is when I quote tweeted Lonnie with the evidence, like, of the arrest record and everything that was debunking her story. And Sophie from Mars quote tweeted it saying, "This guy and his fans are delighting in publicly shaming his addict girlfriend after he made her homeless and stole her cat. He's posting her arrest record on Twitter. Xander Hall is actual scum. If you follow him, literally block me." Rapist from Mars took the L? Yeah, it seems so. Yeah, so basically, you know, pretty standard Xan derangement syndrome stuff from her. Well, that's kind of the least relevant thing that has to do with her to what we're discussing today, because that is far from the worst thing she's done, as it turns out. Like accusing me of random bullshit. I mean, that was kind of cringe, but this is just downright evil. Alice Avizandum? It's an interesting name. I apologize that I'm not good at pronouncing it. Alice posted this on Twitter a couple days ago. "I have to talk about some bad things that happened. I wish I didn't. Sophie from Mars McAllister, Sophia McAllister, I guess, is a danger to other trans women. We are a group of trans women who have been harmed by Sophie. Some of us have dated and been in relationships with her. Many others have hooked up with her. She has been abusive, controlling, indifferent to our consent or its absence, and catastrophically selfish. Some of us have been permanently physically scarred. Some of us have had drugs pressured on us. All of us have been left seriously hurt, both emotionally and physically. We believe this represents a pattern of calculated, intentional abuse by Sophie, and that there may be many more people she has harmed. We are publicizing this because the Whisper Network was not enough to protect us. If Sophie had a reputation for being unsafe, we either did not hear about it or gave her the benefit of the doubt. We believe that for the safety of the community, she must be linked to concrete, tangible harms. As trans women, we neither trust nor want the authorities to be involved in this case. An institutionally transphobic system of criminal justice has no business here. We would not wish it on our worst enemy, and it would make us all less safe. We ask that everyone respect our wishes on this. Whatever follows this, and however Sophie chooses to respond, any process of accountability and who participates in it as an individual decision rather than a collective one. The one thing we can confidently say we all share in feeling is that Sophie's actions must be known about so they can never happen again. In solidarity, Amy Etherington? Morwena Afon Emrys. That person's related to the Emperor from The Witcher 3. Alice Caldwell Kelly, Astrid Johnson, and Maisie Bell. So these are the people who've come together to make allegations against Sophie from Mars of abuse. Xander Hall, a lot of people hide so much behind their politics to make themselves seem like good people in public. I know, I've been saying this for years. Yeah, it turns out that just because someone's on the left and has progressive politics doesn't mean they're a good person. She goes on to say, I'm assuming that trans women makes me assume she pronouns, right? Like, am I misgendering here? I know trans women that don't go by she pronouns, she, her pronouns, so correct me if I'm wrong. Difficult to articulate what I want to say personally here. This is maybe a strange thing to say about a woman whose cigarette burns you are still healing from. But I can't make myself hate Sophie. I don't want to destroy her or her career. But here, there has to be a warning. She, they? Okay, cool. After the day she gave me those burns, I spoke to her about it privately, and she was very contrite and insisted it was just me and a one-time thing, and I felt a bit managed. And the second I pulled on the thread, I found how many times this pattern had worked itself out. It's been one of those situations where the more I think about it, the more I remember, the worse I feel. Even about things that in this moment I enjoyed or in the moment I thought I enjoyed or thought I did. And I thought that's a moment, or that's a common experience with her. God, this is hard to read because of the zoom. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. What I want out of this is practically almost nothing. You don't even have to stop watching her content if she keeps making it. I just want her not to be able to convince anyone else that it's their unique extreme nature that makes her want to act like this, because it isn't. Another thing I don't want or need is an apology. I'm not going to get into the, is this apology good enough, because it doesn't matter to me. I don't care about her intentions or her accountability or her process. All I want is for it to stop happening. If she wants to go and get therapy or something, good for her. But, and this is the first comparison that comes to mind, and it's so untactful as to be really funny, it's like quitting smoking. You get whatever help you need, but the only real test is whether you stop doing it. Fair, fair. I'd say someone just wanting her to stop is pretty fair. Now here's the thing though. There are people in this that do not like Sophie from Mars that are trying to kind of capitalize on this rather than directing support towards Alice and obviously the other people who've been victimized by Sophie. Which should be the primary thing, is like signaling support for them and telling them that they're not alone, that they have support, that we believe them, right? Here's some more tweets from her. Apparently Sean had, quote tweeted a tweet from Sophie from Mars that said, Sean Head, boot on tongue, is a fascist sympathizer and always has been. She wrote this while putting a cigarette out on her partner's skin. And Irrational Chad, aka Chud Logic, replies to Sean Head, certainly an odd way to put out the British word for cigarettes. And of course, one of the people who is victimized by Sophie from Mars quote tweets them, or I guess screenshots it saying repulsive fascists because they are fascists, and does not like the fact that she's being used by said repulsive fascists for like clout on Twitter or whatever, right? She goes on to say, was not prepared for the secondary violation of feeling a shitty thing that happened to me become a spectator sport. Andy Nyo getting into this clown car as well. I have to stop following this. These people make me sick. In their own way, they're just as exploitative, and I mean that. Trying to weaponize this is inexcusable. Don't use this as some, like, showboaty thing. I easily could have done, like, some I was right about her thing. But that's pretty immature when we're considering the fact that multiple people here have been abused. And the point of putting this out wasn't to end careers. It wasn't to drop nukes or get big gotchas. It was to dispel the veil of fake niceness that Sophie from Mars has that has allowed her to get away with abusing so many people. Not just abusing them, but by the sounds of it, gaslighting them into believing that they are the ones responsible for her behavior, that they're just making her act that way. This behavior has to stop, and that is, by what all accounts, what I can tell, the primary goal of her victims, is to make her stop by making this public. There's another tweet as well. And obviously I want to give as much airtime to this person as I can. Peter Coffin got screenshotted. Fuck Peter Coffin, of course, saying, Sophie from Mars is being cancelled, and I'm going to say this, though I doubt it will be popular. This really isn't the way to change anything. You're just going to make her defensive. Assuming it's true and she needs to change her behavior, this will incentivize her not to. Ah, yes, dogpiling her will just make her not want to stop abusing her partners. Ah, cool. Cancel machines often have ulterior motives too. As much as she's acted hostile towards me, there's likely more going on than is understood presently. Whether she's done anything wrong or not, keep eyes more on Nebula than any one individual. What? I have no idea what he's talking about there in that last part. Turning from one ring of the circus to another to say, shut the fuck up, Peter, you stupid dickhead. Yeah, no, Peter should shut the fuck up. I hate Peter Coffin. Yeah, no, completely based. Absolutely based and justified. Obviously, the best person to let speak here is Alice and the other people involved who've made their statement, which is why I've spent most of this just kind of reading their statements for you guys, so you can all see it without having to read, because I know many of you guys will never read. Never, ever read. You're just like me. You hate reading. But I force myself to do it so you guys don't have to. And then, of course, to finish this off, we've got Sophie from Mars's response. Now, the fact that several people have come together to levy these allegations kind of suggests to me the allegations are probably true, in my opinion. Nebula might kick Sophie from Mars off their video network. Ah! Yeah, they probably should, to be fair. I mean, like, just as a good business decision, they probably should. You know, like, I obviously we're not trying to root for a downfall, but, like, if she's using her platform to abuse people, and that's not going to change, then the platform itself in her hands is dangerous. Anyway, she responds, taking responsibility. I have recently been made aware of serious harm for which I am responsible. I have had my behavior described to me, and I'm horrified. And having heard the descriptions of my behavior, I entirely agree with what people have said. Only I can know my intentions. Everyone else can only judge my actions. Therefore, I'm going to do the only thing I can and focus entirely on changing in ways that make sure I never hurt anyone again. The kindness of people that you have hurt is an impossibly precious thing, and I don't intend to squander it. I'm staying away from everyone who I've hurt, and will wait for anyone who wants to contact me for anything to reach out. I'm committed to engaging in any process of accountability that is wanted of me. Praise ChatGPT. Did somebody, like, not copy-paste this apology into ChatGPT and find that it was 100%, like, match? To be fair, that, like, matching system is not very reliable. It says all sorts of things that are completely organic are written by ChatGPT, so it could just be a very PR response. But with ChatGPT being a thing now, it's really hard to say when something so robotic comes out. It doesn't really feel like any responsibility or accountability has been taken here. I feel like when somebody has done something wrong and they take accountability publicly, typically they end up telling the rest of the story even if it doesn't make them look good, you know? Just like letting it all out there, showing that she has no desire to even hide what she did. I don't know. I don't want to armchair psychoanalyze, it's just sort of my commentary. Frankly, I don't accept her apology for numerous reasons. For one, the people who have been victimized already said they won't accept her apology and do not care. And also, I've got no reason to. The fact that she's straight up admitted to the behavior as well means this isn't really allegations anymore, is it? She's kind of just, I have recently been made aware of serious harm for which I am responsible. I have had my behavior described to me, and I'm horrified. So yeah, like, just straight up admitting that she did it, but did not apologize. There was no sorry. She didn't say I apologize, and she didn't say sorry. That is true. That is true. Yeah, I totally didn't notice that. You're right. There is no actual I'm sorry here. Yeah. This almost feels like a, I'm gonna go inactive until you guys forget about it type thing. I really hope that's not what this is, but, you know, I guess it'd be the most PR intelligent response for her to have, if I'm being honest. It's sad to see. There'll be a link down below to all of the related tweets from her victims, so you guys can go send support, go follow, go like, go retweet, go boost. Maybe even go send, like, financial support if there's a way through which you can do so. So, yeah, please, go do that. Go send some support. Link will be down below in the description. I know it's some downer subject matter, but I hope you enjoyed that segment. How do you put out cigarettes on someone and not realize that's shitty? Absolutely lying about, she is absolutely lying about, like, now she realizes how awful it was. Obviously, she knew. She's just been called out and caught. Hi there, Nerpley. Hey, if you're watching right now and you want to support the stream, consider dropping a like. It really helps out a lot. Those thumbs up really do go a long way, and they force YouTube to push my content out to more people, so I really do appreciate it. And of course, don't forget, subscribing, donating, and gifting subs on my website, or even just becoming a channel member, or donating on YouTube, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon. It really helps a lot. I just moved, and that was really expensive, so, you know, any financial support you guys can send my way is really helpful. And it goes into the quail goal. I have moved. Quail will be happening in spring as long as we can raise the money for it. So we're basically... Also, you're supporting Cherry. Also, you're supporting my lovely editor, Cherry. So yeah, please consider sending support. It does help. Good segment, Zan. It's important and you handled it well. I appreciate that. Thank you. You should get Ethan on more often? Absolutely. I'm literally getting Ethan into, like, heavily pushing his YouTube channel. I've always thought Ethan has it in him to be, like, a successful YouTuber. He's really got the personality for it and all that good stuff, but the problem is he's always been really hesitant about it, and he hates the dynamic of content creators and all that. He's just really not into it. And so convincing him to get on board has been really tough, but he's actually finally agreed. And I convinced him, what better thing to live stream than your debate with President Sunday? Kick off your live streaming career with a debate with someone who is relatively known in the space. Just absolutely bully the shit out of him for being an asshole. And clout chase the clout chaser. That's how you deal with clout chasers. You send in somebody who can actually siphon clout off of them so they can't siphon it off of you. And that's what we did. And his channel is already at 245 subscribers in like 2 or 3 days at this point. Really proud of you guys for going and sending your support. Please, guys, please go subscribe. He's funny as fuck. He's going to be on my streams a lot more often, and I'm going to be hosting him and on his streams a lot more often. So it is definitely worth dropping a sub if you haven't already. I'm hoping to see him hit 300 today. I think he can hit 300 subs, especially with you guys now subscribing. If you do now, I guarantee we can get him to 300 subs today. He's at 247 now. I feel like we can get him up there. So if you haven't already, please go subscribe and ring the bell icon on his channel. We're at 250 now. Damn, we might actually be able to get 300 fast. I remember I boosted a pillow much the same way. I supported a pillow at your request? Hell yeah. Zan is also going to appear on my show. I'm starting soon. Yeah, Cherry's going to be starting a podcast soon, and I'll be on that as well. What's his channel name? I put the link right there in the chat up above. It's RK. Only 45 more subs to go, guys. I want to see if we can hit it. I want to see if we can get Ethan to 300 subs today. Also, 100k subs, 2024. Let's go. Probably not by 2024, like January 1st, because of all the people unsubbing, because of the Keffel stuff. Granted, my viewer count hasn't dropped at all. It's actually doubled, and my bottom line financially hasn't been harmed. So the people unsubbing because of this Keffel stuff literally weren't watching my videos. They were like people who just subbed because I was friends with Keffels and then never watched my stuff. So I guess it's really not that big a deal to lose them because they weren't contributing to the actual end result of the channel's success. Carl's gonna release another video about the completionist. I'm excited to see it. I suppose we will see further developments in this story. We're at 260 on Ethan's channel. I want to see it go up. 266. Come on, guys. I'm dropping the link in chat again. Go subscribe. Go subscribe. Go subscribe. We're so close to hitting 300. Come on, every sub counts. It's at 265. 266. 269. Ooh, we're getting so close. 271. We're so close. 271, we're so close. 273, we're so close. 276, we're so close. Every sub counts, guys. Every sub counts. Come on, guys. Get Ethan up to that big 300, my friends. There's over 300 people here. We're completely capable of it. 277. 278. 282. Oh boy. Thank you, guys. 284. Come on, we're less than 30 away. Come on. 288. 292, less than 10 away. 293. 295. 297. Everyone counts at this point. 297. 3 more, guys. Come on. 298. 2 more. Come on. 2 more subs. 298. 298. 300. Let's fucking go. Oh, 299 again. Someone unsubbed. 301. Let's go. 2 people resubbed. Let's go. We got Ethan to 300 subaroonies. I think he'll probably be going live tomorrow, and I have no doubt I'll be joining him. So for sure, keep an eye on his channel, because he makes some good content, and I'm basically like training him on how to get into the content creation stuff, and he is gonna pop the fuck off with some good content, so make sure to stick around. I like helping out my friends. Also, I believe I should be able to invite you to his Discord as well. For those of you guys who want to join his official Discord server, for the sake of vibin', 305 subs, nice. For the sake of vibing, you can join his Discord server, and I don't have a link. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, no. Did he DM me a link? Uh-oh. Damn. Fuck, he hasn't embedded his Discord. Okay. Your fan Discord is embedded nowhere, so I can't shill it. Sorry, caps. Love that. Love that. Every time I dare to not look up at the screen whenever I type. What are the chances that the alt-right and fascists try to jump onto Blue Sky when Blue Sky becomes open to the public? Guaranteed, because they want to be able to troll normies and lefties. They don't just want free speech. They want there to be free speech where they can say whatever they want and there be lefties to troll, you know? It's kind of the vital part of the process, you know? That space heater is heating it up too much in here. How do they troll people? Call them slurs and stuff like that. They want lefties to troll. They want to be able to like call minorities slurs and stuff like that. It's what they do. It's what they do. Anyway, y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Oh boy, everybody. Donald Trump 2024, the absolute nightmare that could be waiting for us. We are on the verge of entering election year. We don't have much more time before this election, guys. This time next year, we will know what the next president will be, whether it be another 4 years of Biden or another 4 years of Trump. This time next year, we will know. Think about that. We'll have been well into knowing this time next year. We've got less than a year left till the election. Shit is ramping up. And with that said, Donald Trump being, well, the guy who's going to win, because despite the Republican primary debates, we all know all that shit is just a battle for second place. The best any of those people can hope for, besides Chris Christie with how much shit talking he's been doing, is a vice president pick by Trump if they're popular enough. And that's a big if they're popular enough. So, knowing that Trump is no doubt going to be the Republican nominee, there's basically nothing in reality that could stop him from that other than dying, or a severe stroke or heart attack, I guess. Let's look at what his policies are going into 2024 so we can all remind ourselves of how absolutely nightmarish another 4 years of his presidency would be, especially another 4 years of his presidency where he doesn't have to worry about getting reelected. Yeah, not good. What are Donald Trump's stances on major issues to voters? Trump is pulling ahead of his rivals as the GOP top pick for president. He wants to launch the largest deportation effort in U.S. history, and he's vowed to close the education department and promote prayer in school. We're off to a nightmarish start, aren't we, chat? Off to an absolutely nightmarish start, but no surprises already. No surprises. Here's his take on the border crisis and immigration. He wants to launch the largest deportation effort in U.S. history, paid for with redirected military funds, Reuters reported. Restore his 2019 Remain in Mexico program, which required asylum seekers at the U.S. border to wait in Mexico while their cases are processed. An end to what he called catch and release, and instead detain all immigrants who are caught entering the United States without authorization or violating other immigration laws. Deputize the U.S. National Guard and local law enforcement to help with rapid deportations, according to Reuters. Enact travel bans denying entry to people from the Gaza Strip, Libya, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, and quote-unquote anywhere else that threatens our security. Block communists, Marxists, and socialists from entering the U.S. and send deportation officers to pro-Hamas protests. Was that just sending secret police to black bag leftists with extra steps? Is that... What? Huh? Like deporting people for... Okay. End birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents. That's right, guys. He would make it so you would no longer be considered a U.S. citizen if you were born here. It used to be that if you could get across the border and have your baby on American soil, that baby was a citizen because they were born here. They are trying to get rid. Trump wants to get rid of it. He wants to get rid of that system. End Biden's immigration parole program and roll back temporary protected status designations, as well as try to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, commonly referred to as DACA. While he was president, about 450 miles of barriers were built along the southwest border, according to the Associated Press. Now, it's not 450 miles of wall, mind you, of barrier. The wall itself just ended up being, like, slats of metal that are, like, corroded and rusted out, and people just kind of climb over with, like, bed sheets and ladders and throw things over and slide things through the slots. It's really not the wall is nothing. The wall is absolutely nothing. Also, can we break down how... Oh, it feels like we're back in 2016. Can we break down how fucking stupid Trump's anti-immigration positions are? Let's talk about the harm caused by illegal immigration. For starters, and I've talked about this many times before, illegal immigrants, besides the crime of illegally immigrating, commit less crime than native-born U.S. citizens. That includes white native-born U.S. citizens for all the Nazis out there who want to go, but what if you don't count the black people? Yeah. White U.S. citizens who are born here commit more crime than illegal immigrants from South America. They just do. For obvious reasons. I mean, if you're here illegally, and getting in trouble with the police could mean getting deported, and your entire life you've risked your life for, and built up in America to be absolutely destroyed, then obviously you're gonna try to keep your nose clean, right? On top of that, they claim that illegal immigrants don't pay taxes. They simply do. It depends on what state you are in, but depending on the state, regardless of the state, really, there are a number of taxes you are going to end up paying regardless of whether or not you have, like, a social security number and you're receiving benefits. By the way, you realize none of these people can receive social security benefits because they don't have social security numbers, right? So not only are they not receiving social security, but they're paying into taxes. They're paying into the government with sales tax, property tax, taxes on gas. There's countless ways in which we are paying taxes, and you do just pay taxes on a daily basis without even realize it. They're not likely paying income tax, and they're not likely receiving any of the benefits that you get for doing so. But in the end, economists agree they're actually contributing a net positive to our economy. On top of that, people try to argue that they steal jobs. What jobs are they stealing? I'm sorry, I grew up in Florida, where I learned the term migrant worker at a very young age because you drive through the country in Florida, and there would just be fields and fields and fields of people picking strawberries. And I'd be like, what are all those people doing out there picking strawberries? Well, and she'd be like, they're migrant workers. They come from other countries. They come here. Some of them are not legal. Some of them are. And, you know, they're just working to put money on the table. Some of them are sending money back home to their families. Some of them have families here and are just working for what they can, right? So a lot of the jobs being fulfilled by first immigration illegal immigrants are not jobs that are like, the people having their jobs stolen, statistically, are high school dropouts. Native-born Americans who are high school dropouts are the ones that are having their jobs taken, if anything. Regardless, though, it is still contributing an overall positive to the economy and their people, and I don't think the fact they weren't born here makes their lives or their happiness matter any less, but Nazis would say otherwise. Regardless, people also argue that they are some sort of hindrance to the economy in some other way, but they are not, because they are also buying things. They are also contributing to the economy. They are workers. Workers are a resource. They are. They help the economy. On top of that, let's talk about the ways that if we even granted the false premise that illegal immigration is harmful in some way, shape, or form, if we just grant that premise, let's do that for the sake of argument here. The ways of preventing illegal immigration that these people engage in are fucking stupid. An infinitesimally small portion of illegal immigration comes through the border via, like, crossing through the desert on foot, or, like, wading over a river, or swimming through it, right? That is not the majority of illegal immigration. The majority of illegal immigration is done through legal ports of entry via means that are not going to be stopped by a wall. They have planes, submarines, cars, and paid-off guards. Walls don't stop that shit. There's an insane amount of corruption south of the border that has enabled the amount of crime, as well as immigration illegally to cross the border. The thing is, though, the majority of those illegal immigrants are not bad people, they aren't hurting us, and they're just here to live happy lives if they can. It's just racists that are mad about that. If you think there are any actual solid statistical arguments to be made about how illegal immigration from South America or anywhere else is actually harming us, then you're in La La Land, because it doesn't exist. Even right-wing economists struggle to find any actual solid concrete proof they can point to show how immigration is hurting us. The only thing they can argue is immigration means less white people years and years and years from now. And to them, that's the end of the world. Less white people, when they're not even alive anymore after they've died of old age, there being less white people than brown people, that's just, they can't stand for that. That's the worst case scenario. Oh boy, Trump's policies on crime. Move homeless encampments out of cities. To where? To where? Where do you move them to? The countryside? Just like throw all the homeless people out into the woods? Give police more authority. Deploy the military to fight the nation's drug problem, and impose the death penalty for convicted drug dealers. Just straight up death penalty for convicted drug dealers, yes. Yep, and this is according to Reuters. Yeah. But Zan, Biden is bad too. We can't vote for him. Yeah. Deliver record funding to hire and retain police officers, and strengthen qualified immunity and increase penalties for assaults on law enforcement. Basically, give police more power and more benefit of the doubt. Send federal prosecutors and the National Guard into high-crime communities, according to his campaign website. So basically, more strict policing in non-white communities is how you're meant to interpret that. As president, Trump granted pardons to 73 people and commuted the sentences of another 70. That includes former staff members and advisors such as Paul Manafort, Roger Stone and Michael Flynn, Stephen K. Bannon, and George Papadopoulos. Yeah. So, not unusual for him to not give a fuck about the rule of law whenever it applies to his friends. So basically, police state shit. He wants to do police state shit. So that's exciting if he wins. Guns. This might be what gets a lot of Americans to vote for Trump because Republicans just simply don't know, or sorry, Democrats just simply don't know how to talk about legal gun ownership in a way that doesn't make legal gun owners, which make up a significant part of the American population, not want to vote for them. Hasn't outlined specific plans regarding firearms if he were re-elected in 2024. During his first presidential campaign, Trump positioned himself as a defender of the Second Amendment. A Trump-era ban on bump stocks took effect in the wake of the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, during which 60 people were killed and at least 413 were hurt when a gunman opened fire on a concert. After the May 24th, 2022 Uvalde, Texas shooting at Robb Elementary School, Trump called for drastically changing the nation's approach to mental health and a top-to-bottom security overhaul at schools across this country, but dismissed calls for further firearm restrictions, the AP reported. So basically, more business as usual, but Trump will virtue signal about guns and it'll get people to vote for him because the Democrats are outwardly antagonistic towards legal gun owners. Stance on Israel and Palestine. Oh boy. Hasn't announced plans regarding the Israel-Hamas war if re-elected in 2024, but suggested the war will just have to play out. Said during an October Fox News article, "We need to protect Israel. There is no choice." And he has positioned himself as a strong ally to Israel while being critical of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He also told Israel's intelligence agencies to step up their game. Russia-Ukraine stance. Has called for a ceasefire, an official campaign statement. Yeah, he's called for a ceasefire in Ukraine, as in Ukraine to cease their fire on Russia. Said he could solve this conflict in a single day. Trump said, "Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war." More generally suggests overhauling the State Department, the defense bureaucracy, and intelligence services to fire who he called members of a deep state. For those who don't know, Ukraine is currently kind of losing right now. They're just not receiving enough lethal aid. They're not receiving enough weapons, ammo, vehicles. They're just not getting enough. And the Republicans are blocking attempts at sending more support at every turn, and it is not looking good for Ukraine. Ukraine could very well fall to Russia at the end of all of this, regardless of whether or not Trump wins. It's just not looking good for Ukraine. It sucks, but the Republicans have very successfully blocked support to Ukraine in the last year. They've been very successful at it. Trump on the economy, interest rates, and inflation. He promises lower taxes, bigger paychecks, and more jobs for the American worker, like every Republican ever, by enacting universal baseline tariffs that... Yeah, man? Yeah? How's that gonna help? How's that gonna help? Tariffs. More tariffs? Like the steel tariffs that literally resulted in our prices going up for our consumer goods. Yeah, those tariffs. Dog. Says he will lower interest rates. How? Claims to have achieved the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. That is a lie. That was actually Biden very recently. 3.5% was 6.4 million jobs added before the pandemic. No, I'm pretty sure Biden is currently the person presiding over the lowest unemployment rate and most jobs. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Biden beats him. During his presidency, federal debt held by the public rose from $14.4 trillion to $21.6 trillion, influenced by Trump's tax cuts, particularly his slashes to the corporate tax rate, according to the Annenberg Public Policy Center's fact-check project. Under Trump, middle-class and lower-class taxes remained the same. Businesses and millionaires saw tax cuts. It hurt the economy. That is just how it works. That is what Republicans do. They do not cut taxes for you. They cut taxes for them. Department of Education shutdown and parental rights. Says he would shut down the Department of Education and send education-related decision-making back to the states. Curricula, enrollment, curriculum, enrollment, and other standards already lie with state and local agencies. That is a weird way to like refer to curriculum, but I guess curricula is a term. Promotes allowing prayer in public schools. It's already allowed. Wants to adopt merit-based pay for teachers. Allow parents to directly elect school principals. Push the federal government to give funding preferences to states and school districts that abolish teacher tenure. Said teachers would receive a patriotic education that would, quote-unquote, teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught right now. Promote, quote, the nuclear family, unquote, including, quote, the roles of mothers and fathers and the things that make men and women different and unique. Provide federal funding so schools can hire trained gun owners to act as armed guards at schools. Cut federal funding to schools teaching what he calls critical race theory. And open civil rights investigations into school districts that engage in race-based discrimination. Yeah. So, let's go ahead and finish this off with his position on climate change. Trump claims he will end the Green New Deal atrocities on his first day if re-elected. The measure was never signed into law. Yeah, that's just him pretending like a thing happened that never did happen, that he'll defeat, even though it never happened. Free up stores and liquid gold for energy development. What? Free up stores of liquid gold for energy development. Okay. Speed up approval of natural gas pipelines into the Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and New York. Biden has presided over more domestic drilling than literally any president before him. Exit the Paris Climate Agreement again. Trump previously pulled out of the U.S. agreement, but Biden rejoined upon taking office, and fight litigation from environmentalists. So that's like when environmentalists try to litigate against companies that break the law and harm the environment. He will give them money and resources to fight against said environmentalist lawsuits. So yeah, basically, he has promised to destroy the world and this country if he gets reelected. Pretty good memes. But if you guys want to actually take part in something that's fighting to keep Trump out of office and to keep Republicans out of office across the board, then you guys in chat can do !PV, and you'll get a link to Progressive Victory, a place where you can volunteer to either canvass, phone bank, or do all sorts of things that they will have for you on offer that you can do to volunteer and actually do something to keep Republicans out of office. This includes Trump out of that president's seat, and God knows he does not need to be back in that seat. So if you're anywhere near as motivated to protect your rights as they are to take them away, consider joining Progressive Victory, because they're actually a group you can join that's fighting against this shit. Link's right there in the description as well once you watch this video, and it's its own thing too. Oh, my mustache is so itchy. Oh. I really had to itch my face there that entire last 30 seconds. It was just excruciating, dude. Oh my god. Oh, I really need to shave my face, guys. It's getting bad. I cannot stand these hairs poking into my skin. Appreciate the offer, Cookie Cat, but I really like living alone. Don't talk like that, Arthur's dork. My man needs some beard oil? Maybe I do. Maybe I need some beard oil. Maybe that's what's missing. Beard oil. Your vape looks like it's from Star Wars? Yeah, it does look like a Stormtrooper vape. It says drag on it. Actually, that says drag, but not that. This says drag. What does it say? Drag bar. But this side just says drag. So that's pretty funny. Yeah, based. All right, really quick. I'm going to go pee, and then we're going to do the Vivek Ramaswamy pee segment. I'm also going to grab some carrots and dip, because I'm hungry. How appetizing, the pee segment. Nothing makes me more hungry. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in a minute. I'll be right back. Be patient. I shall return. Amogus. Gamogus. We're not actually going to do the piss segment while I eat, by the way, guys. That was a joke. That was a joke. We are not doing that segment while I eat. No, thank you. No, thank you. I would like to have an appetite.
It does seem to me that there are some...
Yo! Okay. Okay. Whoa! Holy shit! Oh my god! A nuke got dropped while I was gone. Pepper T21, god damn! How many months is that? I don't want to undercredit you for a tier 4 sub. Hot damn, Daniel. Thank you for the tier 4 sub. Says, hey Zan, I'm going to start having some money in the event I have to flee, or saving some money in the event I have to flee, so I'm probably not going to donate for a while. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. That's no problem. I get what you... I mean, I don't know why you'd have to flee, and I hope you don't have to. Oh, I guess if Trump wins, but... it's fine if you save up money. I get why. I definitely get why. The Grinch Song Uncensored by Wizards with Guns. Okay. What is this?
You're a mean one.
It's a 3-month.
Mr.
Oh, thank
Grinch.
you so much, Pepper T21.
You're a fugly piece of shit. You bring bendy straws to bathrooms 'cause you like the taste of piss, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't suck your dick if it was dipped in honey and could cure cancer. Also, you have no dick.
Where have I heard this before? I've actually heard this song. I must have heard it like a game. Someone played it over
You're
a hot mic.
dipshit, Mr. Grinch.
I've heard this song.
Even babies want you dead. You've never brought home a woman 'cause you're scared you'll wet the bed, Mr. Grinch. The 3 words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote: bitch, dumpster, bitch. You're poor, Mr.
This is basically the voicemail I leave to everyone I hate every day. I call them and I leave them this voicemail. I just say this over the voicemail box.
Grinch. You can't afford the bus. You're deathly allergic to tree nuts, and your exact address is this, Mr. Grinch. 1482 Mount Crumpet Boulevard, Whoville, Michigan. I mailed your bitch ass a bag of nuts. It's just a dress that you are inbred, Mr. Grinch. You don't know how to read. I cannot stress enough how much you love to suck down pee, Mr. Grinch. According to an anonymous poll with a sample size of over 3,000 Whos who were asked to rank you on a scale from 1 to 100 based on traits such as likability, general odor, and physical attractiveness, the highest number we got was 3!
Okay. That was good. That was a good meme. That was good. That was actually pretty damn good. I like that. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it, Cherry T21. Or no, Pepper T21. My bad. Sorry. No dead name Marino. The T21 always kind of makes it roll off the tongue. Oh, shit. Guys, Ethan sent me the link for you guys to join his fan Discord server. So you guys can join his Discord. Join it, guys. Join my friend's Discord. He is starting to get into YouTube and streaming. And the sooner you join, the sooner you get to be a part of the community. And I'll be in VC every once in a while, so you'll get a chance to talk to me. It's a good time. I'm going to eat this carrot, and then we're going to do the next segment, okay? This carrot and dip is insanely good. It's insane how good this is. This Dean's dip, if you can get baby carrots and this shit, you're in for a treat. Is Zan classified as a twink? Probably. Probably. Yeah, probably. Honestly, at this point, I may be. I might be. Possibly, yeah. Unfortunately. Anyway. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Well, everybody, for the first time in a while, Ben Shapiro has actually debated somebody, and it's not a college student. At least I don't think it's a college student. It seems like he's debating someone who is a grown adult based on the facial hair. But somebody, a big YouTuber, who I've actually never heard of before, and I'm curious to see like what their deal is here, named Alex O'Connor, 5 days ago, uploaded a video titled Ben Shapiro Debates Atheist on Slavery in the Bible. Interesting. I'm guessing this channel is based as fuck, just going off of what we already see. I'm 18 with a full beard. You know what this is a pretty full beard, dude, okay? This is a pretty full beard. Regardless, though, I like skeptic content when it's not, like, right-wing, when it's actually, like, anti-religion stuff, because religion is, in fact, cringe. Never forget, religion is cringe and bad. So, obviously, seeing Ben Shapiro get dunked on the topic of religion, I'm excited. I don't know how he did, but I'm excited to do some live commentary on it because I feel like it might give us a little more insight into Ben Shapiro's debate style. Because we never really see Ben Shapiro do debates so much as we see him just kind of talk down to college students. This is a situation where he actually has to defend himself, and in every other scenario where I've seen him on equal grounds defending himself, he just gets angry and runs away. It's not a good look. So I'm excited to see how this goes. It's not very long, but let's check it out.
It does seem to me that there are some things within religious scripture that do need to be taken seriously and do need to be taken essentially at face value. That is, some of the very specific legalistic commandments of the Old Testament, for example, or of the Hebrew Bible, I should say. These are not, when people list these and say that these are potentially morally problematic and may have done something towards hindering, for example, like I mentioned earlier, the abolition of slavery in the United States. Of course, there was a great deal of religious influence on both sides, which is something that I've already mentioned. But don't you think that this problem could have been solved a lot more easily if there had been a stronger religious tradition of opposition to the ownership of other human beings? Why can't that have been the case?
Okay,
because
so
Scripture quite explicitly condones it.
Right,
and in fact gives you the details of how to do
yes,
it.
so
That's something that couldn't have been done, in other words, because
this is
you've taken
now I
this,
guess you tell me to gloss. So
this moral
here's
principle
the,
that's placed outside of meaningful debate.
right.
This is a solid point to argue. Essentially what he's getting at is if you're religious, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, or if you're a Christian, you believe your holy book is the Word of God. Like, directly, the Word of God. Obviously, you might assume it's been translated by people and rewritten by people, but the book is supposed to literally be the Word of God. It's not to be questioned. It's not to be second-guessed. It's not meant to be thought about in a critical way, only thought about in a reverent way, essentially. There's a very rigid idea of how you're supposed to analyze the Bible when you are religious, or, you know, the Bible if you're Christian, Quran, and I think there's other holy texts as well for Islam. I may be wrong. And then obviously there's the I'm blanking on it. The holy book for Judaism. How am I blanking? The Torah. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So basically, if that book is the Word of God, and it is the explanation of what God wants you to do and how humans should be, the fact that there are step-by-step points on how to do slavery in the Bible, like exactly how to treat your slaves, how to capture them, how to sell them, how much they should be sold for, how to evaluate them, step-by-step process and guidelines on how to do slavery exists in the Bible. In all the holy books it does. And with that considered, you can't argue that we were just, like, God knew we would just move on from slavery when we needed to. If the book says this is what you're supposed to do, then the book says this is what you're supposed to do. At any time in human history, that doesn't change. The book hasn't magically changed meaning. They'll claim it has because they want to cherry pick. The fact is, the Bible and many other holy books absolutely glorify some of the most horrific behavior ever. But you have to cherry pick. You have to cherry pick the good sounding stuff and live by that stuff while pretending like the bad stuff was outdated. There's no such thing as outdated when it comes to the Word of God. Are you telling me the Word of God is outdated? It makes no sense. It is a complete fallacy that religious people engage in. It enables their cherry picking.
Before we move on, can I ask, where are we getting these buttons from? Are they from Amazon? You know, you press one and everyone's an atheist.
There's this wonderful thing
that these available on the market
that I think you both need to use in this conversation, which is imagination.
Oh, right.
So let's. As far as why didn't the Bible prescribe the perfect world as I would see it, or as you might see it, and the answer is because two reasons. One, as stated right up top, I'm not God.
Don't try to wiggle out of this, okay? The Bible is not made to, like, acquiesce to areas in which our world is going to be naturally flawed, okay? At least in Christianity, and I imagine a lot of this crosses over to Islam and Judaism, because to be fair, they're kind of all the same thing. But, you know, different somehow. I don't know. Anyway, the idea is that, I mean, look at the Bible, for example, and another example of a way that people have a very big double standard and cherry pick which rules they follow. How many people do you know that are Christian that wear polyester? Because that's a sin. It is sinful to wear clothing that's been woven from two different animals or two different types of cloth. It's considered to be sinful and impure. But Christians nowadays kind of don't even really pay attention to that bit because it's not really practical and, you know, it cuts down on what you can buy. You know, that was back in the day. It's like, what? How's the Word of God outdated? He's basically trying to defend that claim. What he's trying to say right now is, well, God gave us free will, which means he knew that we'd do slavery. So if we're going to do slavery, we should have specific rules around going about it because he knew we'd do that. Okay, if we have free will and he can't stop us from doing bad things, then why are there even sins? Why isn't slavery a sin? Why are there sins if their existence doesn't matter? Clearly, God considers sloth worse than slavery if sloth is a sin, which is literally just being lazy. And enslaving human beings is not considered sinful. In fact, there is guidelines on how to do it most ethically from the Word of God himself. He's just trying to wiggle out of this very clear fact that Christianity, at least, outright endorses slavery. Hi, Heavy Gretel. Welcome.
God, I assume he has different logic than I do. Mm-hmm. Two, the Bible is in an inherently problematic position in the sense that, on the one hand, it's trying to divulge important truths for all time. At the same time, it's talking to a people of a particular time.
Yes.
And this is a well-worn tradition inside Judaism. So to take the slavery example, there is no man.
It's the Old Testament, so Torah included. Cool. Okay. Is he trying to argue that he does not he's not a biblical literalist right now? Is that his claim right now? Is that, like, these are just stories written by people for a time, but some of the stories still apply to today and we should try to, like, build our morals around it? So he doesn't even actually believe in it, like, spiritually. He just believes in it culturally. He likely would say that. That's hilarious.
Mandate to hold slaves in the Bible. Right? There are lots of mandates in the Bible. Many, many mandates. There's 613 of them according to my religion, right? That's why I do all these weird things that I do. But one of those mandates is not to hold slaves. Right? And so the idea of there was a society that existed at the time of the Bible in which slaveholding was not only ubiquitous, it was universal, and which was true for virtually all of human history.
That's right.
And could be justified not just in terms of religious scripture, but in terms of Aristotelian thought. Right? I mean, the great philosophers we like to cite sometimes in the secular tradition are big fans of slavery. And that's true virtually up until the 18th century.
Yes.
So the idea would be is this verse attempting to woo people away from a tradition of slavery or to humanize the slaves? Or is it attempting to reinforce that by making it harsher and more difficult? And that's why actually one of the things I enjoyed doing.
Okay, so he doesn't even actually believe the stories in the Bible are true? So he's not a biblical literalist. He's trying to argue the Bible is just full of a bunch of stories that we can choose and cherry pick whichever ones we want to follow based on what suits us most effectively. He's basically just defending why he just weaponizes religion for his own gain. He's trying to explain it without outright saying it. Weird. Wrong, I believe there were older non-Western civilizations that outlawed slavery. Yeah, no, listen, there's nothing natural about slavery. It's never been okay to do slavery. It's just been, they did slavery, and nobody who was opposed to it had enough power to stop it. Because might makes right. At all times in human history it has, but nowadays the people with the might have decided it's right that there is no slavery. Back then that wasn't the case, and there was slavery, but thank God now there isn't. Well, not in America, not in the way that we think of it as, right? There is still slavery here, though. Like sex slavery, human trafficking, obviously, and it exists all over the world still. But we think of it as this, like, extinct thing. It's still very much around. There's no argument to be made that it's, like, a thing that disappeared with the modern day. The world is still full of slavery. Look at, Dubai and Qatar, right? There's massive amounts of slavery happening there. Their countries practically built on a slave working class. And most of them are literally just refugees who are stuck in debt peonage, right? So there's still very much slavery happening now. Are they not sinning? Is that not sinful? But then again, I guess maybe he doesn't even believe that it's like is it not a sin according to the Bible then? Apparently not.
In terms of how I study the Bible, for example, is I like to look at contemporaneous religious texts of the time. So
Yes.
I like to study the Bible alongside, for example, Hammurabi's Code. And it's really interesting to notice the differences and where the Bible is liberalizing Hammurabi's Code, for
Yes,
example.
absolutely.
And so the idea that a divine revelation has to be given to human beings who are capable of following that in the time. Again, that's part of the difficulty of I think rebutting religion in a certain sense, because again, it seems wiggly, but it really isn't, in the sense that if you believe, as I do, in a God who spoke to human beings in some...
It seems like I'm trying to wiggle out of defending this horrific practice that my religious book justifies, but I'm really not. Source, trust me, bro. Just trust me.
former fashion.
Also, legally speaking, prisoners in America are slaves. Constitutionally speaking, they are.
And has to speak to them on a level that they can...
13th Amendment says slavery is not allowed, except for as punishment. And then we have prison laborers who work for free or for pennies a day in America. That is slavery.
Understand, in ways they can understand, then that immediately is going to discount the ability to do a lot of very radical things that would have appeared radical in 1200 BC, but now appear to be commonplace for us.
Yes, I understand this argument, and I've heard it many times. I must say that it seems strange to me that God does seem willing to completely and utterly condemn a bunch of other practices, including, by the way, imaginary crimes like witchcraft, just done away with entirely.
Yeah.
And even if it is the case that God, for some reason, couldn't even hint at the idea that maybe eventually we should be moving towards the abolition of the idea of owning human beings as...
How much you want to bet? Ben will argue, no, the Bible doesn't say witchcraft is real, like magic. They mean like pagan stuff and like sacrifices and heresy and non like Christian stuff. Because the fact that the Bible condemns being a witch kind of implies that Christians think witches are real. Like, I'm pretty sure there's an implication that the Bible says that ghosts are kind of real, right? There are also giants that are actually like 6'4". So actually, that's the one part of the Bible I think is fairly realistic, or the 6'4" giants. That's how tall Goliath was, by the way. He was like 6'4".
As private property, he just had to
he hinted
condone
at
it.
it, but yes.
I still think it's the case that he would not permit a flat immorality, and I think you would agree with that too. And so when I open the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, and when I look at the texts saying that if you lay siege to a city, you can kill, if the Lord delivers it into your hand, you can kill the men and the women, or you can kill the men and keep the women and the children and the livestock as plunder, as Deuteronomy says. And in the very next verse, the very next chapter says that, if you see a good-looking woman, and I'm not interjecting that. If somebody finds an attractive woman,
yes, if Toar is the actual Hebrew, yeah,
then they can take them for themselves, and if they want them as their wives, and they take them home, they shave their head, they cut off their fingernails, they give them 30 days to mourn their old husband, who you may very well have just killed, and then you can take them as your wife. When Numbers 31 has Moses instruct the
he's going to try to defend the time period at which it was written, because it seems like he's not even willing to defend the Bible as if the occurrences that are claimed to have happened in it are real. Like, I don't know if I could actually see Ben Shapiro defending the claim. Wasn't there like there was like a monster in the Bible that had 100 horns, and on every horn were like 100 crowns that were all on fire or something. I forget what the exact quote was, but it was absolutely fucking insane. I don't think an AI art could even depict it, much less a human. Like, the amount of over-the-top design that is described for this creature in the Bible. It's actually fucking crazy. I will say there's some awesome mythical creatures in the Bible. Like, just the most random shit they came up with, dude. Like, they must have been tripping on toad acid or something, yeah.
Slaughter of the Midianites, saying kill all the men, and this time the women get killed too, but not the women who haven't slept with a man. And why might that be? And it says that keep them for yourselves. And I hear all the time that this is some kind of liberalizing process. Maybe it's because these people wouldn't survive on their own. It's some kind of protective measure to make sure that you're looking after them. If that's the case, then why does it only apply to the virgins? That seems a little bit suspect to me. It's sort of Scripture's littered with these kinds of.
Well, again, so to go back to the sort of oral tradition nature,
and I don't think God would permit a proactive immorality, even if he can't, for some reason, abolish the practice altogether. If you see what I'm saying.
Not only that, but reminder: God's not exactly opposed to saying, "Nuh-uh-uh, if you do this, your eternal soul is doomed." Like, why not just make it so if you do slavery, your eternal soul is doomed? Wouldn't him saying slavery is a sin theoretically prevent a lot of slavery? He can give you free will, but he's still allowed to say, if you do this, then this will happen. That's what he did with the rest of the sins in the Bible. So why not slavery too?
Well, no, that last point I don't see. So when you say even if he can't abolish the practice altogether, well,
which already I think he would be able to do.
Right. So the question is whether he can or whether he can't. If he can't abolish the practice, then the idea of wooing people away from a particular type of sin through a gradualistic process is known.
Yeah, didn't God flood the world? Yeah, because he was pissed at us. Yeah, like, dude. But of course, I bet Ben would claim he doesn't literally believe that happened. Like, literally.
Throughout societies across human history. I mean, the gradualistic processes are the way that most things get done across human history. And by the way, the universal practice, unfortunately, up till today in many places in the world, is in fact the extreme version of what you're talking about. Raise everything, kill everyone. Right? That sort of stuff, unfortunately, does take place, even on planet Earth, even in the year 2023. And so the idea of a culture arising from the Bible that not only abolished slavery on its own shores, but then abolished slavery literally everywhere else, which is what Great Britain did.
No. Christianity had very little to do with the abolishing of slavery. Christianity had about as much to do with the abolishing of slavery as it's had to do with the abolishing of everything else. You go back far enough, particularly in America, most people were Christian of some kind, or at least religious of some kind, and said religion has been used by many people throughout history to justify their beliefs. Abolitionists used Christianity to justify why slavery shouldn't exist. They argued that God said that all men ought to be created, or ought to be considered equal. We are all created equal. But anti-abolitionists, people who are pro-slavery, cherry-picked their own bits of the Bible, because let's be honest, the Bible is incoherent and written by a lot of different people, to try and argue for their position. And of course, there's been different versions of the Bible. Different iterations of the Bible were printed and spread around in certain countries and at certain points for people's purposes. And of course, it's not even getting into the inception of entirely new religions for individuals' own gain, such as Mormonism and Scientology, right? Also, why is this conversation happening in the middle of a Pinterest interior design photo? Yeah, what is this set? This set's so weird. Why does the Daily Wire do this?
That, again, to separate that off from a tradition that also says that every human being is made in the image of God, right, which is the verse from Genesis, or that you have to treat the stranger well, right, which is repeated more than any injunction in the Bible, right? There are these traditions that are at war with each other inside the Bible.
Funny that what about treating the stranger well? Is that what you're doing whenever you refuse to like misgender like a trans person you've just met, or when you refuse to misgender, when you refuse to properly gender a trans person you've just met, is that treating strangers well? Dude, your entire career is based off of demonizing people you don't even know. That is the opposite of treating strangers well. Ben, if any of this shit exists, you're going to hell. Like, to be completely clear here, if any of this religious shit is real, Ben is going to hell, as are many of these conservative pundits.
Bible, which is why there is this hotly fought kind of
as are most
argument inside biblical circles about all this stuff, which again is one of the reasons why I said right up top that when it gets to I can't just open the Bible and interpret the text as I would see fit.
You
say, well, I don't like this verse right here.
Contradictory?
What was that?
You say that Scripture is contradictory?
Well, I say that Scripture is some Scripture is time bound and some Scripture is not. So
no, it's because the Scripture has been written by shit tons of people. Like I don't know the entire history. But isn't the current version of the Bible that's most commonly read a rewrite from, like, England in, like, the 1600s or something? Like, the Bible, like, there's the First Testament, the Second Testament, there's also, like, versions of said, like, yeah, it's like the version of Christianity that is popular today in the Bible we read today that is most popular is not quite what Christians believed, like, back when Rome was a thing, for example. You know? Very different. Very much has changed. Yeah, the King James Bible. Thank you.
The easy one, the sort of easy way to distinguish is that when the Bible says not to do a thing,
too. Oh,
then that
and not to mention the Bible as we know it today in English is translated from its original language. I don't remember what the original thing is, but there are lots of parts of the Bible that are contested by biblical scholars as to what the correct English interpretation is. One of the most notable, and I showed a clip of this guy breaking this down recently, was whether or not it's actually fair to interpret Genesis as having claimed that Eve came from the rib of Adam. There's actually a pretty decent interpretation to be said that Eve came from an equal half of Adam. And that Adam, like, that Eve is like an equal part of the original first human, obviously. And also, I think there was supposed to be a wife before Eve too. I don't know. The religious shit is fucking crazy, dude. Like, Christianity is complicated and weird, all right? The fact that that we're forced to take it seriously, like it's not like a fictional fan base, is fucking insane. Yeah, Lilith was the first wife, right? Yeah. Thank you, chat. Thank you.
To be non-time bound.
And when it says to do a thing.
And when it says to do a thing, that may be a temporary permission structure, but it could also be a wooing. And by the way, again, I'm not speaking out of turn here. This has been...
the Bible went from Hebrew to Greek, then Latin, to a whole bunch of other languages once Protestants became a thing. Yeah. So you can imagine how much has kind of gotten... Have you guys ever played telephone before? Come on. You know that shit's nowhere close to what it started out as.
1,500 years of Jewish reinterpretation of Esha Yifat, to take a quick example, right? The War Bride, the long-standing Talmudic tradition, which again is almost 2,000 years old at this point, is that was deliberately an attempt to avoid mass war rape, which again You can scoff at that, but mass war rape.
An attempt to prevent mass war. You know what did a good job at preventing soldiers from raping civilians in places that they conquer? The promise from generals that if they do that, they'll get fucking executed. That tends to work pretty well. It's actually just as simple as the ruler saying, hey, generals, let every man in our army know if they sexually assault any women, they'll be beheaded or they'll have their cocks chopped off. It's pretty simple to prevent your army from pillaging, like raping the women and children when they pillage a place. Like, you just kind of promise to torture and execute anyone who does it if you're the leader of a nation. Like, it's kind of like, it's not impossible to prevent your men from doing that. We don't do it today. Eve came from Adam's penis. Yeah, he actually, like, she crawled out of his dick hole. It was very horrific to witness. The Bible kind of sugarcoated it quite a bit.
Rape happened on this continent 70 years ago when the Russians literally raped everyone as they came into Germany. So, these evils continue to exist in the human heart.
Even if this was a liberalizing force, and even if this was not as bad as other slavery, do you think that...
It's not that simple if your troops are undisciplined. Dog, if they see a couple dudes get their dicks chopped off for raping a woman in a town that they've raided, they're not going to continue that behavior when they see that you weren't kidding about the dicks getting chopped off and then getting, like, executed. Yeah, it's a pretty good threat. It's what came to mind first. If I was, like, a general in the 1200s or whatever, and, like, I need to convince my men after they conquer this city to not, like, do awful things to the women and children, I'd be like, by the way, guys, any one of you who I find out harmed any of them in that way, I will personally make sure your dick and balls get chopped off and you get beheaded in front of everybody. That's what you do. Simple generaling. If you punish people for rape, they stop raping, or at least they try to tone it down a whole lot and not get caught. Either way, it's a good way to convince people to stop. It's better than outright giving religious rules on how you're allowed to take a wife of a woman. You take the wife of the man who you just killed. Yeah. At the very least, you can heavily disincentivize it, you know?
The ownership of other human beings under the conditions of the Hebrew Bible are immoral.
Yes.
So how do you account for God commanding something which you now see to be, or rather permitting something and explicitly and giving you details about how to do something which is proactively immoral?
Because he's not permitting me, permitting my great to do
something.
Why does that not apply today? God says it's fine. Does God not say it's fine now? Where's he said that? Where's he indicated this? The people who fought the fight against slavery and other forms of injustice are the people that you demonize with your religious dogma today.
Immoral.
To do something
immoral.
That in the time was not considered immoral.
It wasn't considered immoral,
right.
But was it immoral? Now,
by today's standards,
who's the moral?
Is it? Oh, by today's standards, immoral, but not back then. Are you serious? Are you actually serious? He's trying to argue that rape, slavery, and to an extent even murder only started being wrong today. These people really tell on themselves when they admit that laws and religious restrictions are all that keep them from raping and killing. Dennis Prager has famously gone on record to say this in one of his shows, that if it weren't for these things, then men would just rape and kill as they want to. And it's like, as they want to? Bro? Speak for yourself, man. I think that's a leap. It's not a leap. They've said as much themselves.
By the Judeo-Christian tradition, sure. By today's standards developed under the Judeo-Christian tradition, immoral. Which, by the way, you're living off the. You're again, not to get back to the Tom Holland argument. You're living off the remains of this. I mean, where's your morality coming from?
But who's the moral relativist now? I mean, it seems that a moment ago you say that the great success of religion is providing a sort of untouchable moral basis that sort of transcends human affairs and human debates. And now when I say, well, look at this, open your own religion.
The fact is, Ben does not want to accept that as hierarchy, single file hierarchy, has become less and less common, and democracy and other forms of, like, enfranchisement for the many as opposed to the few has become like common, we've seen these objectively immoral things fall out of practice due to people not wanting the practice to exist. And he's upset because the fact is, the further you go back in history, power tends to be consolidated to fewer and fewer and fewer people. And when that power is consolidated and one person has say of what happens, might makes right applies the more than any time ever. And when just one guy wants there to be slavery or one guy wants a bunch of wives, he just makes that happen because he has the power to do so. And if someone can overthrow him because they have the power to do so, they do. And then that guy gets what he wants until the same cycle repeats. But as we have recorded history, we have ideally learned from it, and we've realized from our mistakes. We've learned from our mistakes. The problem is people like Ben and other conservatives desperately want to destroy the teaching of history, because history is context that naturally leads the vast majority of people to a more left-leaning position on how we ought to go about running the world. Because fundamentally, conservatism has been what's held humanity back from many a great thing, many a fantastic achievement. And things have just gotten better for us the more we have progressed. And it's people like Ben that want us to go back to the way things were when shit sucked more.
Religious scripture and look at this blatant immorality. You say, yeah, but well, that was considered to be fine at the time. It's considered to be bad now by the progress of Judeo-Christian
there's a question.
values. Who's the moral relativist here?
Well, it's not relativistic to say that
Also, you can't pretend like shit tons of people who are actively opposed to slavery, racism, and all these horrible things aren't themselves atheists. These atheists that you decry are the SJWs that he claims are these super woke, can't get over slavery and segregation and all that people. How is it also the fundamentalist Christians that defeated all these evil things? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be in favor of these things while also claim you're the ones responsible for destroying them.
A thing that is wrong today is considered wrong today because of a tradition that developed over time.
The question I'm asking is not, was it considered right or wrong at the time of biblical slavery?
It was wrong.
Was it wrong?
It was wrong then to hold a slave. Yes, it was wrong then to hold a slave, obviously. And also, if you are God and you are pragmatically attempting to woo people away from slavery, was it a
woo people away from slavery if you're God? When has God ever tried to woo people away from any of the other sins? There's no wooing. What do you mean? Why is sloth a sin while slavery is not? When has God ever tried to persuade people as opposed to coerce?
Practicable thing to simply quote-unquote abolish slavery, or
here's an idea, for example.
Tradition?
In the book of Exodus, God says, I think in chapter 21, maybe 22, says that if you have a Hebrew slave, you are to let them go after 7 years. If that Hebrew slave comes to you with a wife, then after the 7 years, you let them go too. If you give the Hebrew slave a wife, and they have children, then after those 7 years are up, you give the man a choice. He can go after the 7 years, as per, but you keep his children and his wife. Or, and here the scripture says, if he says, I love my wife, I love my kids, and my master, as if that's going to be one of the principal considerations, then he can stay with you, at which point you take him outside, you pierce his ear like cattle, and he becomes your property for life. Now, here's a suggestion, for example. If it was already established that Hebrew slaves go after 7 years, and it's already established that if they come with a wife, they can go after 7 years, then if I give them a wife and they have children, would it not be, it doesn't seem to me particularly...
It's coercion. It's literally because people who wrote the Bible practiced slavery or existed in a time where slavery was a accepted practice, and they wanted to normalize it and enforce rules on how it's done. Just as much as eating animals was considered a normal thing that you do, the Bible has rules on how you're supposed to do it. What kinds of animals you're supposed to eat, and how you identify the animals you're allowed to eat, what animals you're not supposed to eat, and when you're not supposed to eat them. Those such things.
revolutionary. It doesn't seem to me the kind of thing that would have caused such social discohesion that God just couldn't have found a way to do it. To say, well, why not let the whole family go free after those 7 years?
The fact that Ben just can't admit is the Bible was written by people, and those people didn't see slavery as wrong. So they wrote about it as matter-of-factly as one would write about guidelines on how to wash your hands. Because back then, Christians were not against slavery. And nor was anybody who wrote the Bible at the time. Certainly not based off of the writing.
With the knowledge beforehand that if you give this
literally step by step on how to engage in like a torture scenario, like a coercive torture scenario. Ah, yes, either freedom and I get to keep your wife and kids as slaves, or I get to put a pierce through your ear and you get to be my slave for life and you get to stay with your wife and kids. I have no doubt that the wife and kids were still fair game for the slave master, though. Let's be real. I mean, we know how slavery goes. It's a pretty barbaric practice, and we know how awful those that choose to practice it tend to be when they choose to act upon their ability to own someone as property, if you know what I mean.
This Hebrew slave of yours, a wife and children, they'll get to leave with them. That seems to me, for example, a minor improvement that would not cause this kind of revolutionary earth-shifting, he couldn't have just gotten away with slavery. Maybe that's true. But something as obvious as this to me, it seems that if that is the case, that could have easily been done, then the failure to do so and the keeping of that Hebrew wife and their children as the master's property, that itself becomes an immorality that is dictated.
If I agree with your premises, I agree with your conclusion. I think that the question as to how much social discohesion would it have caused to do a thing is an open question. I think the other question that sort of remains open here is the incentive structure as to whether you accept a wife from your master. Right? So
okay. He's basically trying to claim, yes, the Bible not only excuses as not a sin, but gives you guidelines on how best to go about doing awful things with your slaves. And not only that, but justifies the slavery. But it gives you the choice of whether or not you would actually go through with those things. Because the slave master could just choose not to. You know, God just gives you the free will to do that. And it's like, no. When God doesn't like something and makes it a sin, you're allowed to do it in mortal life, but when you die, you condemn yourself, unless you repent, to an eternity of torture. That's not a choice so much as it is coercion. It's like, if you move, I will shoot you. You're still free to move, but you're going to get shot, right? That's not really freedom. So this is just incoherent.
I don't want to get into the abstruse. I mean, we can do this literally all day.
And step from the past into the future.
There's 70 volumes of the Talmud that are literally about this sort of stuff, and then copious writings in terms of reinterpretation.
Yeah,
we're
hardly the first people to talk about this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is not the first time these questions have come up. But I think the general point is sort of one where either we can dive into that full time, and you can spend your life becoming a rabbi, which enjoy.
Could happen.
Could you have the beard for it. It's your beard is further along than mine. Or we can sort of stipulate at the top that there are certain biblical interpretations.
Damn, apparently there was more to this debate. Like, this is just a clip from it. Man, I would like to see more. I'm going to watch the rest of this off stream, but this is a damn good clip. I mean, that's a good introduction to this YouTuber. Alex O'Connor. Okay. I'll drop a like, and I'll drop a sub. Oh boy, a little bit of COVID lung. Sorry guys. I'm gonna drop the link for you guys to go send some support in the chat as well, and there'll of course be a link down below in the description too. Please go send some support. Go drop a comment saying I sent you, and leave a like and subscribe. This is a way bigger channel, but if you guys didn't know about this channel, then time to go send some support their way, because debating Ben Shapiro is no small task. Ben is still dodging a debate with Destiny, by the way. I'm still waiting on seeing that. That is one debate I will pay money for. It'll be like watching two speedboats. It'll be like watching race cars. It's going to be crazy. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. Thank you, guys. Good segment, good. And then I Drink Trano, thank you for the $5 donation. Thank you so much. That really does help a lot. Says, send quail pics. We don't have quail yet, but your donations and your financial support really do help us to get there. But of course, if you can't afford to donate, subscribe, gift a sub, super chat, become a member, any of those things, then you can always just hit the like button over on YouTube. The thumbs up button really does go a long way and forces YouTube to push my content out to more people, which makes my channel grow, and it really helps a lot. And of course, you guys can also subscribe, ring the bell icon, and support me financially, but if you can't, it always just helps to be here, and I appreciate you being here. But giving me money helps, and I always love it when you guys give me money. It's always fun and based when you guys give me some money. Thank you, I Drink Drano. I really appreciate it. And you will all get much more than quail pics once the time has come. Let me update the dono goal. Thank you, guys. And of course, we got a $50 Canadian donation from Fire of His Love that said, your Creator Clash refund. I haven't been to Creator Clash, but thank you for the $50. I appreciate it. I wish that I had gotten to go and see YouTubers beat the shit out of each other. It's always funny to me. I haven't watched any of these YouTuber boxing events myself yet. I've just seen the results. I've never really enjoyed, like, watching boxing. I haven't talked to Destiny in a long time now. Wait, are people talking about... What? Why are people... Dude, why are people so obsessed with my weight? What? Guys, I promise you, I am a healthy weight. This is my normal weight. I don't know if you guys know this, but when I started streaming, and through most of the time that you guys got into my content, I was a little bit, not overweight, but on the heavier side for, like, my usual weight. This is me having, like, leveled around to my, like, average weight, like, where I typically am. I just have a very fast metabolism, and I'm a hard gainer. Getting, like, beef on my body is tough. Like, I gotta eat pretty unhealthy to get, like, big, and I gotta eat really healthy and work out a lot to get good big. So, yeah. I basically got a little chubby, not, like, really noticeably so, mostly just in my face, where enough that, like, when it's gone, my face looks noticeably skinnier, right? I think that's where most of it is, and that's why you guys think I look, like, crazy skinny, is because my face is where a lot of the fat was, and it just kind of disappeared, and it made my face a lot more slender. Why the wrench? That's because they're a mod. Mods in YouTube chat have wrenches next to their name. It's because you have good cheekbones. Yeah, my cheekbones kind of jut out a lot more whenever I'm, like, my normal weight. No body shaming? I don't think it's body shaming. I think it's people just not understanding, like, what my, like, average weight is, and then assuming, like, oh, Zan's lost a ton of weight. That's usually a bad sign of someone's health. I'm worried about them. Which I don't think is a bad thing. It's just kind of like, no, I'm okay. I'm doing fine. Crimson King, thank you for the 4 hours ago you bought a Xander Hall Booba shirt. Thank you. For those of you guys that don't know, I do have merch if you guys want to buy some. It's linked down below in the description in the Streamlabs link. So thank you to Crimson King 4 hours ago buying a Xander Hall Booba shirt. Thank you for the merch purchase. All right. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Oh boy, everybody. This is actually some of the most hilarious news I have seen in a while. This is the funniest shit since the quartering. And his wife, when his wife went out to pizza without him. Vivek Ramaswamy caught an embarrassing hot mic moment during SpaceX's event with Elon Musk. GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy appeared to be caught on a hot mic relieving himself during a live X Spaces, X Spaces, not SpaceX. X Spaces broadcast as more than 100,000 listeners tuned in. Mr. Ramaswamy joined Elon Musk on the live broadcast on Sunday to welcome notorious conspiracy theorist Alex Jones back to the platform. For those who don't know, by the way, about a year ago, Elon Musk tweeted, "I will never bring Alex Jones onto the platform. I watched my own firstborn son die in my hands. I would never, I will never support, or I will never have mercy on those that would use the deaths of children for political or personal gain," was his quote. An actual rare W from Elon Musk saying, you know what? No, what Alex Jones did was so fucked up. You don't use kids for political gain when they're like dead kids for political gain. It's fucked up. I won't stand for it. A year later, popular support changes, and yeah, he's letting him back onto the platform and does a whole big, oh, his ex-wife lied about that though, so that's not even a true story. Wait, so that story he told is just straight up untrue? That was a lie by Elon? His ex called him out? His ex-wife said he lied? His ex didn't lie. Okay. His ex called him out and said it was a lie. His ex held the kid. Oh, okay, wait. So the ex says that she held the kid, but the kid did still die. Okay. So he lied about... Oh, okay. What a piece of shit, dude. What a piece of shit. Holy crap. That's actually hilarious. I know it's fucked up, but it's actually hilarious that he would lie about that and then immediately go back on it a year later. As Mr. Musk explained his decision to allow the InfoWars founder back onto his social media site, Mr. Ramaswamy announced that nature was calling. "Gentlemen, I have to go," Mr. Ramaswamy said. As the conversation continued, the sound of what appears to be someone urinating can be heard. Jones then pointed out that, somebody's got their phone in the bathroom. "That's your phone, Vivek." Oh, wait, yeah. "That's your phone, Vivek. I'm not able to mute you," host Mario Nawfal says. Mr. Ramaswamy then apologized as he returned to the Spaces conversation. Here's the tweet. Presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy takes a piss with his mic on during an X Space with 100,000 plus listeners. Elon Musk says, "I hope you feel better." Vivek says, "I feel great, thank you." Dog, no way. Let's max out the audio.
Decide not to have children. That's all I'm saying. And Elon Musk is promoting an optimistic, pro-human future that the science and evidence shows is real and that we need.
Gentlemen, I have to go.
Yeah, I just want to be sort of yeah, exactly. I want to be clear about my position. I'm super pro-human, and I mean all humans. You know, humans in America, humans in
somebody's
Africa,
got their thing
Asia,
open,
and everywhere else.
Their phone open in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's Vivek. Vivek, that's your phone, Vivek. I'm not able to mute you. Vivek.
You're muted.
Go ahead, Elon.
Sorry about that.
So, well, I hope you feel better.
I feel great. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
Dog, it is insane how much piss video and piss audio we have for conservative pundits. Is it not getting a little excessive? Obviously, the most iconic. We can never forget the most iconic of all time, which is the quartering. The quartering pissing in his basement. Just the absolute classic. I'll fast forward to like the amazing moments. Well, actually, the beginning is also quite important. Important context in the beginning.
You never know.
Oh, gotta boost the audio, of course. What am I, a fool? What am I, some kind of fool?
You never know. Maybe I'm gonna pee in my trash can down here. I don't know. My wife went out for pizza without me, and I'm angry about it. So I'm gonna win this round, and I'm gonna pee. If I don't win this round, I'm gonna pee in my own basement.
He then proceeds to lose.
Get up! No!
I like the get woke, go broke sign behind him. Now listen. Yes, ASMR. You can hear the tinkle. You can hear the tinkle. I recommend watching the video yourself and turning on sound boosting software because it's harder to hear through my stream because you have to like boost the audio so much and the stream already quiets it a fair amount. But you can hear it. You can hear it. It doesn't sound like it's hitting water. It sounds like it's hitting like a drain. And the claim was that he would piss at his basement drain. So there's that. And that's not even where I was going to stop, by the way. Gavin McInnes pisses in a cup. So, like, for those that don't know, Gavin McInnes is the guy who literally founded the Proud Boys. He's the co-founder of the Proud Boys, I believe, but he's since stepped down. Oh, here's Dylan Burns having posted it. Fantastic. Lovely. Gavin McInnes, former leader of the Proud Boys, pisses into a cup in the middle of a debate with Destiny. This is actually real, and it's not the first time he's done this.
COVID-19 is not the same thing as saying the cause of death was COVID-19. There is not, again, if you look at the excess deaths, if you look at the excess deaths in the United States, it's not like, oh my God, we have 200,000 COVID deaths, but only 20 lung cancer deaths this year. Wow, we must have gotten really good at dealing with smokers in society, and maybe those vape pens.
That's him putting the cup down to the side.
Aren't as bad as all the other old people say they are. That's not what's happening. We're still seeing deaths all. COVID-19 is not the same.
You can see every step of it, like him putting both hands down, unzipping, grabbing the cup, pissing in it, and then just like leaning over and putting the cup down. He wasn't even discreet about it, and it's not the first time. I swear, it's not the first time. Yeah, apparently, yeah, he's known for this. Here's a video called How to Piss in Public. Hey. This is a video that he apparently took part in called How to Piss in Public. What is up with conservatives and their piss kinks?
Hey, no, I'm trying to help you. You're gonna get it all over your pants. Oh, did you see that? That was pathetic. He's just pissing up against the wall in the middle of the day. He's begging to get caught. The kids today don't know how to piss in public.
This is a straight up full on video that the leader of the ex-founder of the Proud Boys made, yes.
You're gonna find a plethora of tools for public urination in the garbage. And this just looks
For the record, public urination can make you a sex offender, so do with that info and what you know about right-wingers what you will.
Like an everyday coffee cup to some, but this is actually a very vital tool for peeing in public.
The piss cup. Ah, yes. He's very aware.
Before we even get started, almost every public urination trick involves a cell phone. It's an old magic thing that I learned from magic guys. You want to distract the audience. So I always, when I'm pissing in public, am on my cell phone, freaking out at someone. So if people see me, they go, wow, that guy's really mad. So I open it up enough for my large penis, and I look around, make sure it's safe. This is the snakiest part. Pull it out and put it in the cup, okay?
We're not doing this. There's no way. It's on YouTube, so there's no way he shows anything. But Jesus Christ. He's basically just like acting it out in public. I can't with these people. Dude, the fact that this guy was for a very long time. This guy was at Charlottesville. This guy was a leader at Charlottesville. He was one of the, like, people that the Charlottesville dudes were there to see speak. It's actually fucking crazy how pathetic these guys are. And why is it always piss? Why is it always piss? It's not that hard to just, like, do this, mute your like I just did, and then go to the bathroom, dog. It's not that hard. I know you're a streamer, and I know you got an audience to entertain, and getting up and using the bathroom makes you lose viewers, but I promise you, it's fine. Just go piss. Go empty that bladder. It's not good for you to hold it in that long. He defiled Charlottesville. Yeah, like those protesters, those rioters did Some pretty fucked up shit there. Yeah. They, the most famous thing was the murder of Heather Heyer, which has since become a right-wing conspiracy theory to try and defend the guy who did it, claiming that he didn't do it. And you'll see a lot of Nazis dog whistle that conspiracy theory too. So it's pretty shameful shit. Pretty awful, shameful stuff. But I can't say this whole Vivek Ramaswamy thing isn't funny. Breaking. I have obtained footage of this most momentous moment in American history. There are no accidents. Hold on. Look at this. There are no accidents. God, this is great. I just love when shit like this happens. This might be the end for him. He might actually be cooked after this, but who knows? Right-wingers don't really have any shame or any concept of it, so maybe they just kind of look totally past this. Donald Trump said and did all sorts of embarrassing shit I thought would be the end of him, and it never was, so who knows? Maybe this doesn't actually hurt him as bad as you would think it would. What do you guys think of that segment? I feel like it came out pretty damn good. I've got one more segment for us to cover today. It's going to be a bit of a shorter stream than usual, but a lot more segments than usual, so I guess it kind of balances out in the end. Also, hot fucking damn Ironclad Alibi, thank you for the $100 donation. Good lord. That is extremely kind of you, and he didn't even say anything. Thank you so much. I mean, if you have any messages you want me to read out, then definitely at me in the chat, because with a $100 donation, you definitely deserve to have a message read out. Thank you so much. That is extremely helpful. As you all know, I did just move, so money's a little bit tight because moving is expensive, so, you know, just even saving up money for furniture and all that sorts of stuff is kind of a daunting task, so I really appreciate you guys chipping in as much as you can. It really helps a lot. And remember, if you can't afford to donate or anything like that, there's no problem at all. It's fine if you can't afford to financially support. You can always just drop a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon, or support me just by being here. But the like button really does help a lot, and it's totally free, so consider hitting it. If Trump pissed on the American flag, he'd win more right-wing votes. Probably not wrong, to be fair. Probably not wrong. Yeah, straight up dropped $100 without a word. Absolute Chad shit. Absolutely. Does Ethan go by Ethan or RK now? I mean, RK is his username online, but I call him Ethan because that's his name. You can refer to him however you like, but RK, I guess, is, you know, it's his username, so it'd be as weird as referring to me as Alex. Having an authentic burrito while watching Zan is the American dream. That's good to hear. I feel ya, just had to move also. It's annoying trying to find places online now. Yeah, like, the internet makes it easy, but also people deliberately are a little dishonest about the quality of the places they show. Like, you have to go see it in person to really know how good it is, because, like, they do things such as take photos of like, rooms where, like, you can't tell there's maybe like a little scuff on the wall that like has to be painted over, so like the entire wall looks perfectly pristine. Just little slight dishonesties that you just gotta go and see the place in person to know, you know? Did you see the new Keffels video on you? I'm sorry you have to go through this. Really? She's drama baiting more? Is that real? I don't see anything. Oh yeah, she did put out a video 4 days ago. Xanderhall ends our friendship over Shoe on Head, featuring Tipster and Lonerbox. For those that don't know, Lonerbox has jumped on board with the Shoe on Head never pedo-jacketed Xan or Demon Mama claim. So apparently she's joining in with, like, the actually, Shoe never did anything wrong. The hypocrisy of Xanderhall, she's really showing her true colors, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just, I think it's interesting that I've been accused of drama farming this, but you'll notice I've not put out a single video. The only video I put out was the one where Ethan debates President Sunday. It's called The Hypocrisy of Xanderhall, a new video. I see. I see. Another video. Oh yeah, I was told about this. Apparently Euphori Tori, who is also a piece of shit, for reasons that I can't even say because forbidden knowledge. You know how it is. Apparently she went on Keffel's stream recently. Ooh, my lights went out. Yeah, I mean, Keffels is going to continue drama farming this. Something that I have learned about her very quickly in the last few days is she is a massive drama farmer. She is not capable of having a personal disagreement that she does not, like, blow up into a big, like, consistently, like, she's going to milk this for as long as she can. Like, I'm not engaging with her. I blocked her. The only people I'm engaging with are those that are spreading lies about me with the shoe on head thing, but she's going to continue putting out videos because it can be milked. I don't think she said Shu never did anything wrong. Well, the fact that she's now, like, railing against me for criticizing Shu and is, like, platforming people who claimed I never got pedo-jacketed by Shu in the first place is a pretty clear indication of where she lies. Listen, guys, all I'm going to say is, it's not my story to talk about, but there's people that are going to talk about their experiences with Keffels that have happened because of this drama that might recontextualize some things for you. That's all I'm going to say. It's not going to come from me, though. It's not my story to tell. Can we please talk about how annoying Vash's community is when it comes to you? I'm gonna be real, guys. Being a content creator in this space, I've very quickly gotten used to just, like, the most insane shit being said about me all the time. Like, the sex cult drama, the fucking Noah Samson stuff, the, FD Signifier stuff, the, I mean, you could just go down the list. There's always gonna be people in communities that don't like me. The same goes for Vash's community. You were kind of right about her backstabbing you because she associates with Shu. Well, I don't know if the act of being associated with her is necessarily backstabbing. It's definitely something that makes me uncomfortable, right? Like, nothing you guys can say would ever make me comfortable remaining friends with Keffels as long as she's friends with Shu on head after what Shu did. Zane, you have to admit you have been a bit hypocritical. While you are right about how Shu pedo-jacketed you, your behavior has been a bit hypocritical. Please tell me where I've been hypocritical, because I know what you're going to say. I've debunked it 20 million times, and everybody claiming this is relying on not having, like, listened to me. Where am I hypocritical? Aliameth, please. The Vosh thing? Yeah, they're going to try to claim the Vosh thing. For those that don't know, I've almost burnt the bridge with Vosh several times, and I talked to him in private, and he publicly called out Shu for her behavior. She claimed Willie Mac, I think. Did Keffels ever approach me and say she doesn't want me to associate with Willie Mac? Yeah, Vosh purposefully does not publicly associate with Shu because of what Shu did to me, yeah. And to Demon Mama. But yeah, like, if Keffels ever approached me and said, don't associate with these insert groups of people, then I would have. I even gave an example of some time where I've done this. Although I don't... Can I name... you know what? Fuck it. I'll name names, okay? You know what? Nah, fuck it. I think it's probably fine. It's been a while. And on top of that, like, I don't think it's gonna end up blowing up in the way the person was worried about. But, like, Ash Coffin literally orchestrated a massive hate brigade on Merrick and got away with it. And I didn't know about this. And I followed and retweeted Ash Coffin, or whatever the fuck her name is, frequently, not knowing that she'd done this to Merrick. And then one day I got approached by Merrick. Merrick just told me what happened, and I was like, you know what? Bridge burnt. I immediately, like, nuked the bridge with Ash. I unfollowed her, and I muted her so I don't have to see her tweets. The hotel thing, I think that's not even related to that. No, maybe it was? Yeah, no, it might have been related to that. Yeah, maybe. This was a while ago. But, like, I apply that standard when someone approaches me and tells me, hey, I know you might like this person. Here's how they fucked me over. I was never approached about such things by Keffels. You can't claim that I'm a hypocrite when I approached her, told her how this whole shoe thing upset me, she hand-waved it, and then I came back, found out that that conversation changed nothing, and then got upset. She has never once approached me upset about my associations with anybody. And if she did, yeah. Your desire to promote Willie Mack Show, even though your agreement of how you think it is wrong to associate with them, once again, is there any evidence whatsoever of Keffels approaching me and asking me not to associate, signal boost, or be friends with Willie Mack Show? Because if she did do that, then I would have. It's as simple as that. Ask me, tell me what happened, give me the knowledge, and tell me, Zan, I don't want you to associate with this person anymore. They fucked me over, backstabbed me, did this or that. And I'll do it. It's as simple as that. You can't call me a hypocrite for not doing something you never asked me to do. Well, afterward, the way Keffels went about this, she's ganging up on you and still backing up Shu since you walked away is kind of a backstab. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to engage with her, but listen, guys. Make sure I don't have any DMs telling me. Okay, good. I don't have any DMs telling me not to say anymore. Okay, the most I'm going to say is Keffels has extremely self-destructive tendencies, and she's cut off people in all of this that have kept her from doing a lot of self-destructive things. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. If you guys think I go nuclear, I burn bridges, and I'm self-destructive, then Keffels is gonna surprise you. Genuinely so. Genuinely so. That's the most I can leave it at. I hate having forbidden knowledge, dude. I hate it, dude. I hate having forbidden knowledge. I really hate it. I hate having forbidden knowledge. It's the worst. Also,
now, let's remember Cornell.
Jesus Christ. Fuck off, Jimmy Dore. Stay quiet until I'm finished with you. Hold the forbidden knowledge. Remember, no drama today? Exactly, no drama today. Keffels can continue to try to farm drama as much as she likes. We're not engaging. Don't tell us that you have it. We'll peer pressure you to tell us the things. I'm wondering how much Keffels continuously uploading videos about this is going to start to make her look bad in this. Because I literally I tweeted about her, and went on her stream and ended the friendship, went on my stream and explained my side of things, and now it's been days of her continuously drama farming it. So, people claiming that I'm the one drama farming, how long is that, argument gonna stay up when she's still uploading videos about this? Anyway, are you guys ready for the next segment? You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. It is time for us to dip down real low to dunk on somebody who I haven't talked about in quite some time. You guys actually are going to be surprised by who I'm going to be dunking on today. We're going to be dunking on Jimmy Dore. Yeah, didn't expect that, did you? Well, I'm starting to notice this really worrying rise in this, blend of Nazgul and tanky ideology that's starting to get really popular on the left, right? This, it's sort of for example, right now, the largest self-proclaimed left-leaning figure on Twitter is Jackson Hinkle. Yeah. Who is, of course, he calls himself a MAGA communist. And he is also a pretty open tanky. This type of leftism is getting really popular on the Twitter sphere due to how it very much rewards bigotry But there's also this sort of like young people, populist, anti-capitalist trend that even the right kind of has to play into to some extent in order to bring over Zoomers to the degree that they want to. Like, even your average chud right-winger has to basically molest socialist talking points into something relatively similar to what the left says in order to actually get young people on board with what they believe, right? Hell, the strategy from the right for a lot of Gamergate was to claim that the roles had switched and the right were actually the hip, young, cool, libertarian ones, and the liberals had become like the authoritarian, prudish, they want to ban video games and make it a crime to have free speech types, right? They basically tried to convince young people that the right is the hip and cool group now. So, while Jimmy Dore probably doesn't have a lot of pull with young people, and I mean, his videos don't do all that well for a channel as big as he is. He's got 1.27 million subs, and this video is 10 days old with 81,000 views. Like, I've got videos from weeks ago and like months ago with that many views, and I'm literally fractionally the size of this guy. So he's not really anywhere as big as he used to be, but he's still big enough that apparently he has a live show calendar at the start of his segments, and that's too damn big in my opinion. He also titled this video, "The Left's Identity Politics is Killing the Working Class." So this is no doubt going to be centered around the idea that, like, the left discussing social issues having to do with, like, marginalized groups and their rights is actually pushing away the centrist working class from supporting the left, and that we need to get rid of talking about these social issues and only talk about economic plights and how we need to instill socialism or whatever. But also, Jimmy Dore is not a socialist, because he's like the biggest, like, he hoovers up money like a goddamn vacuum. Also, one sec, I gotta go plug in my vape. I'll be right back. Nice. And I've got my charged one. Feels lit, man. Feels so lit, man. Let's check this out.
Now, let's remember, Cornel West grew up wealthy, and he spent his entire life in ivory tower, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. He's not a member of the working class. He never was. And
Jimmy Dore, you are streaming from a studio right now. Okay, I'm sorry. We need to put a complete and total shutdown on lefties that unironically do this whole, like, this person's bad because they've always not been working class, or because they're not working. Like, dude, this is the most LARPy Twitter socialism I've ever seen, and it's from a graying old man that I don't even know how old he is. He must be in his 70s, right? Older, maybe? 60s at the youngest? Like, this is 13-year-old Twitter leftism is what I'm hearing right now, just right out the gate. Like, teenager Twitter leftism. Pit crew leftism.
I am.
No offense if you have a pit crew in chat, but, like, you know the stereotype of pit crew accounts.
I've been blue-collar my entire life. I was a bricklayer.
You've been blue-collar your entire... Listen, guys, even though I do not make much money, I would not consider myself a blue-collar worker. I just wouldn't. The fact that I don't have to, like, get up in the morning and, like, dread my entire fucking day, go out, like, before the sun's fucking up and get in a car and drive to a fucking commute and, like, you cannot claim you're a blue-collar worker when your job is to sit in front of a camera and talk. We are not blue-collar workers. We exist in a whole new area of economic and social existence. We're contract workers that have very, very fragile incomes and careers as it stands already. And, like, YouTube hasn't existed long enough for us to even know if it's possible for someone to maintain, like, a relatively okay income long term. We don't even know if these platforms allow for that. Like, let's say, for example, I maintain 355 viewers consistently forever. I would be able to live off of that, but whether or not it's possible to exist like that without either A, dying entirely or continuing to grow in the long run is literally not known. The platform and this medium has not existed long enough to know. You can't claim you're a blue-collar worker when you're talking from your studio. You have a literal schedule for live shows. Like, no, dog, no. This is peak champagne socialism.
I did tuck pointing, then I became a stand-up comedian, which is the most blue-collar thing you could do, entertaining drunks.
What? I'm sorry. You may be working class, but you are not blue collar. Blue collar has a very significant association when you say that. You're not waking up and commuting an hour to work before the sun comes up, or taking a train or public transportation to your job that you fucking hate with a boss that can fire you whenever he feels like it, okay? You are not a blue-collar worker. You are a self-employed contractor with a dream job, as am I, okay? Let's not pretend like we don't have jobs that every single one of our viewers wouldn't kill for. I hate this weird I'm one of you virtue signal that lefty content creators will do. Guys, your jobs and lives are probably harder than mine on average. You guys have much harder. If you're watching me right now, you're probably watching me at work, okay? My job isn't necessarily easy. It's not necessarily a cakewalk. I'm sure if you guys worked it, you would enjoy it in many ways and be upset at it in other ways. But let's not pretend like there aren't some serious perks to what me and Jimmy Dore do that very much separate us from the average experience or the general experience of your average working class person. I really don't and I'm not talking about money or income here. I really don't like when these people talk about their job like they have the same experience as a working class American as you do, the viewers. Hassan does this too. Hassan tries to be we with his viewers. It's like, dog, you live in a $3 million house in LA. Your viewers are donating $5 a piece to cumulatively create that enormous wealth. You are not one of them, okay? I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to belittle what you guys do or say shit talk what you guys do. I'm trying to put down this idea that streamers have it so much harder, or content creators have it so hard compared to the average worker. There's tough sides of it. Don't get me wrong. I'll be the first to tell you, but I would take this over what 99% of your jobs are in chat any day. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise to try to convince you my job's harder than it is. So you guys think, oh yeah, you're just like one of us. Yeah. You're fighting the good fight too. I'm fighting much less the good fight than you guys, okay? I know it's not as good to say for my bottom line. Hassan, does his whole I'm part of the proletariat thing and everybody loves it, but I'm calling out that bullshit. It bothers me. It actually annoys the shit out of me when people like Jimmy Dore do this. And Hassan does it too. Hassan does it a lot.
In nightclubs and banging my head and sleeping in condos and banging my head against the blue-collar wall for 30 years, right? He didn't do any of that, which is why he gets to then talk about identity.
This guy's no doubt got an insane amount of money. I'm sure he's gone from being on TYT to having over 1 million subs on YouTube. If someone has had 1 million subs if someone has had over 1 million subs on YouTube for a significant amount of time and maintained the equivalent viewership, and is not set for life, they did something really wrong. Really, really, really wrong. With less than 100k subs, if it weren't for Lonnie, I would have, savings. Considerable savings. Enough that I could afford to, have an emergency. I couldn't now, because the Lonnie thing, but, otherwise, I would be. I can't imagine a YouTuber being 10 times my size, views, and income, and not having considerable savings to the point where they can live comfortably for the rest of their lives after a year of that income. I know that Boogie298 was, super irresponsible with his wealth or whatever, but, I don't know. I can't imagine... just because you choose not to spend your enormous money in a certain way doesn't mean you don't have it, right? Does that make sense? If I became a multimillionaire tomorrow, I wouldn't be partying it up, but that wouldn't change the fact that that would immediately not make me not blue collar. And I guarantee Jimmy Dore's a millionaire. If he's not a millionaire, he is extremely irresponsible with money. If he is old, has worked in this industry for a long time, and on top of that has a YouTube channel with over 1 million subs. There's no way he's not a millionaire. I won't say how much YouTubers make, but I know YouTubers that are millionaires. And I know that you can be much smaller than Jimmy Dore and be a millionaire. Much smaller.
Identity politics ad nauseum. And go ahead, you want to say something?
Yeah. I think it's really important to this is what I make the point about in the book too, is that working class people use their bodies to work. That's how they earn their living.
That's right.
They like drink.
Okay. Dog. That's absolutely stupid. That's absolutely fucking stupid. Imagine trying to... Okay. There are tons of... Okay. Oh my god. Holy shit. That's so fucking stupid. Do you know how many data entry jobs there are in the U.S.? Blue-collar jobs that are literally just data entry, programming, site... like web construction. Jobs that just require you to have an education and sit at a desk, and yet you're still paid barely above minimum wage. The idea that blue-collar work, working-class work, is physical work is literally immediately, just dropping a substantial portion of the working class out of your advocacy. I know Keffel's made a new hit piece, but we're not feeding into her drama milking. She's trying to drama farm this very badly, but I'm not letting her trick me into engaging.
Themselves or whatever. I'm descended of long generations of peasants. My uncle, I'm in China right now, was a blue-collar worker his whole life, retired, a factory worker, never made more than a factory worker's wage. And, you know, I've worked every bad job. Can I say shitty on your show?
Sure.
Yeah, I've worked every shitty show.
For those who don't know, by the way, the last time we covered this dude was when he got outed for sexually harassing Anna Kasparian. Obviously, we don't like her, but obviously the fact we don't like her changes nothing about that, because he literally would regularly, serially sexually harass Anna Kasparian. He's a creepo, on top of everything else.
Every shitty job in the world that women are allowed to work. And so when you have this experience, like, of sort of how, when you're working these jobs where you're using up your body and your energy, and you look at how people look at you, you understand, like, how low you are on the social totem pole. And the professional manager class are the brain workers. They're the knowledge workers. They're like in the information economy. So many things in the world still need physical labor to be done, like longshoremen. We want to automate everything because basically we don't want to have unruly.
All right, I have to read this one message. I've been following the Keffel's drama from Keffel's side, and it seems like she's in the right. Ah, yeah. You've been watching the drama entirely from one streamer's side of everything, and you think that streamer's in the right. And you admit to not having seen any of my side of it. I wonder... I wonder why... Okay, anyway.
Workers.
That's the most drama you guys get for this stream. I know. She's really trying to milk it, and people are like raiding the channel because of it, which she knew would happen, but you know, it is what it is. She's basically the new DJ Mule.
They would automate bricklaying if they could, Jimmy, so that there wouldn't be a person like you. You know what I mean? They would have robots do that, and then you'd have like unemployed, opioid-addicted people who were once working class and who are just unemployed.
Why is it a common trend for right-wing grifters to also be known sex predators? Well, because, like, these people, part of their political ideology is that they do not view particularly women, and also usually children, as people deserving of, like, respect or, like, autonomy, right? They view their children as property of their fathers, and they view women as their own rightful property. They view themselves as having some level of an entitlement to women's bodies and sexuality. This is very common in older men who feel like they can just kind of like use their age as an out. Like there's got to be women in my chat who have had the experience where like old dudes will be creepy and think they can use their being old to try to get out of it, right? Like to try to like socially diffuse the being creepy. It's crossing into that territory, Eliza Lee, but I can't say much more. That's all that I can't say much more. It's not my story to tell. Anyway.
But these knowledge workers, people who only like use their minds for a living, they really think that being smarter makes them better than everyone else. And I'm just like, no, it does not. And your smarts is a very like narrow form of smarts. Like, you know, I don't know how to solve this problem. I just feel like we have to
identify it
be
first.
Combative.
Yes, so I'm going to be combative with Cornel West right here,
Okay.
and so this all comes down. By the way, so all this trans issues and gender identity and all that is not coming from the grassroots. That is not coming from the bottom up. That is coming from the top down. That is coming from BlackRock. That is coming from Vanguard. That is called DEI and diversity, equity,
inclusion.
and
okay, so he's going to try to claim that diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring is somehow pro-American imperialism and woke, and that's bad? So for those that don't know, so here's my position on affirmative action. I don't think affirmative action on its own is necessarily good. Because as we have it now, it's had some pretty negative outcomes. Notably, there's been some already arguably privileged groups that have benefited from it more disproportionately. Notably, white women from relatively decent upbringings have gotten surprisingly, like you could argue, sort of exploitative privilege out of these things when, like, white women are not the group necessarily that's been the most disenfranchised by any means. Like, they are some of the most privileged below white men, right? So it's a little bit of a worry when that's the concern. And so on top of that, affirmative action can also, you know, kind of exclude a lot of people who are not people of color who still suffer from the same economic strife. So I think the best way to handle affirmative action as a Band-Aid, because it's not itself a solution to the problem, because it's very, like, the fact that kids can't qualify for college being a problem is itself a problem in the first place. There needs to be higher education available for literally every kid who wants access to it. Good higher education, reputable higher education. The problem is most affirmative action does not really account for upbringing and where you're coming from, right? I think that affirmative action should mostly be centered less so on race, gender, those factors, and more so on how much does this kid need affirmative action? Like, how much are they clearly trying, but everything from where they come from is getting in their way, and if it weren't for those things, they would probably be qualifying, right? Income is probably the best thing to look at. Generational income, primarily. Generational income is what really counts. Because you may have, say, a parent who wins the lottery and sends their kid to school, but, like, they don't really know how to balance a checkbook, and they don't know how to teach their kid how to balance a checkbook, or to, like, do basic, like, financial things such as saving and investing in your retirement, and hell, just investing in basic safe stocks like the S&P 500. I mean, if you invested in the S&P 500 like back during the financial crash, which I did, I just haven't like even looked or checked on it. Apparently, it did pretty well. I invested like $50, and I think it might be like impressively higher now if I were to check on it. But yeah, like if you don't have that knowledge on how to like really invest and really build generational wealth, that's going to affect your kids and your kids' kids. White women aren't taking on affirmative action. They just have better grades, statistically speaking, in high school and look to get degrees at universities over their white male peers. I will say, Liameth, you've already demonstrated yourself wrong about one thing in chat today, so I don't know if I'm too keen to immediately agree with you when I've seen data that says otherwise. However, I still maintain, regardless of whether or not that's true, that a income-based affirmative action would be ideal. Because an income-based, and also we have to acknowledge the issue of college admissions have been shown to be racially biased as well. So there's also that. That's also an issue of its own that's trying to be like dealt with. But yeah, regardless, these problems also exist in the workforce, not just college. I use college as an example, and other positions too, like the military. So, you know, that just kind of covering all bases.
Conclusion. And what is that? What's that there to do? That's there to put a shield of virtue around the companies that are raping the planet and crushing workers. So they can say, look, we've got gay people, we've got trans people crushing workers.
It helps pharmaceuticals too.
We've got pharmaceutical. Yeah, we've got black people and brown people, and we've got women. We've got all these people doing all the horrible things, but they're now getting a good salary for doing it. And doesn't that make us virtuous? And Cornel West could not stop using that language, could not stop talking about trans issues, could not stop talking about gender.
Okay. Essentially what he's going to try to do right now is claim that caring about LGBT stuff and like minority rights and whatnot is being used by liberal establishment Dems to distract from the real issues. I cannot tell you how much I despise people like this. These are the people who, despite all the policies we went over in the segment before, will still tell you not to vote for Biden in 2024.
White supremacy, calling his political opponents fascist, which comes right from BlackRock and Vanguard and the Democrat.
What? Calling your political opponents fascist comes from BlackRock and Vanguard? I'm pretty sure calling your political opponents fascists comes from anti-fascists.
Democratic elite establishment, the billionaire class that runs the whole world. And here I am trying to impress upon them, and I'd like to get your reaction to it. So let me just say this. So the point of running a third-party campaign is to offer an alternative to the two major parties, to bring together disaffected members of those parties, along with independents and others who feel alienated from the political system as it exists. And the best way to do this is by running on economic issues.
Is he playing a clip of himself while doing an interview?
That unite us, but which neither major party is willing to address because they're both beholden to the same powerful corporate interests. The Democratic Party long ago abandoned the working class in favor of beating the drum on cultural issues, and now that's all the Democrats have to run on.
Okay, so the fact is that the Democrats, policy-wise and at least electorally, are more popular on pretty much everything other than in certain regions guns. So if you take a proportion of Americans, most Americans are probably relatively in favor, I wouldn't say in favor, but at least relatively in favor of some level of gun policy. The problem is when you consider the fact that rural voters have a lot of power due to the fact that they can make up a larger percentage of the population in some states, despite the fact that there are cities. Some states have like ridiculous farmer populations and just rural populations generally, and these rural populations can vote pretty red depending on where you are. Despite that fact, you've still got a lot of voters out there who, while they aren't necessarily a majority, they're still a electorally significant population worth trying to win over. And one of the only culture issues the left really loses on with those people, really, I think, is guns. Besides that, even among like groups that aren't super pro-trans, the anti-trans, just the yum-yucking and the virtue signaling and the moral panics these people do, it's just unappealing. It doesn't drive people to the polls. We saw how the midterms went. Even when the like polling shows that the Democrats don't have that strong of a chance of winning, when you actually see the election roll out, we get landslide Democrat wins. That's what happened in the midterms across most of the states that were like big battleground states, because these trans attack ads don't work. They don't work. The left wins on these culture issues. They just do. And it's what the left needs to focus on, because these are its strong points. Issues such as gay marriage, abortion, women's rights, like police reform. These are winning issues for the left. They just are. anyone claiming otherwise has ulterior motives to lie about this, because he's just lying. I'm going to speed this video up because, like, we need more lies per minute here. We need more lies per minute. This video is so short, but I've already made it so long.
So if voters are looking for a party running on trans rights and calling Donald Trump and his supporters white supremacists, they can already vote for Democrats. The role of a third party is to focus not on the identity politics that divide us, but on core economic issues that unite us along class lines, like Christian Smalls did at Staten Island. Do you think he led with LGBTQ trans rights and white supremacy, or do you think he organized along class lines? That's what we have to do. You have to organize, meet people where they are. So what is your plan to organize along class lines, or are you going to keep talking about white supremacy and all those identity politics, which are there, not from the ground up, from the top down, to make sure we stay divided? What is your plan to organize along class lines?
Well, I appreciate again the clarity and candor of what you have to say. We have profound disagreements, brother. When I organize around white supremacy, I'm not making some utilitarian calculation. I'm speaking as a black man who comes out of a tradition that's been terrorized.
Dude, I love this visual of Jimmy Dore doing the smug DreamWorks face and, like, shaking his head as he explains, as a black man, I feel a motivation to speak out against white supremacy. What the fuck? What a fucking visual. Does he not realize how ironic that is for this, like, old white man to do a smug smile and shake his head at, like, a black man explaining why he feels the need to speak out against white supremacy? Also, Colonel West is a grifter. I don't like Colonel West, but, like, I still think this is just the most hilarious visual I've ever seen. Like, you can't even lie and say this is not parody. He's so condescending. Where did he get the idea it was cool to be this smug? I mean, I guess he has an audience. There's an audience for it.
When I organize around white supremacy, I'm not making some utilitarian calculation. I'm speaking as a black man who comes out of a tradition that's been terrorized and traumatized by white elites. And that does not in any way mean it takes me away from class issues. Class issues are crucial. Class issues are fundamental. But it doesn't mean that I'm putting up with white supremacy. One of the problems is that you get too many folk who want to talk class, and can't say a mumbling word about white supremacy, police brutality, can't say a mumbling word hardly. Or when they do.
So that was basically his response. And it was super disappointing. And even when I tried to point out to him, he didn't care about what happened to people during COVID and lockdowns and how it was a controlled demolition of our economy that benefited a handful of millionaires and billionaires and crushed everybody else. And I tried to point that out to him because he didn't care about COVID. He didn't care about that. He didn't care that 70,000 workers got fired in one state alone. Healthcare workers got.
So basically, this is the weird Nazbol pro-worker bullshit that I think Shuanhead did this too. For those that don't know, the ulterior motive is Shu's an anti-vaxxer in regards to COVID, at least. I don't know about other vaccines, but in regards to COVID, Shu is an anti-vaxxer. She is fully unvaxxed and does not believe the vaccine is something that people should take. However, people like Jimmy Dore also believe this. And what they say, they basically argue this in the most extrapolated way they possibly can. Essentially what they argue is that it is authoritarian and bad to force vaccine mandates for particularly even healthcare workers. So, like, let's say you're a doctor and your hospital says, wait, you refuse to get the COVID vaccine and boosters? You're a danger to your, like, patients and the other doctors. Like, you're going to be fired if you don't get it. Like, that was essentially the idea that was being tossed around, and many doctors were fired for this. And people like Shu and Jimmy Dore and other, like, hyper, like, anti-authoritarian types were like, no, that's anti-worker, this is lib shit, because they're workers getting fired from their jobs. But the reason they're getting fired from their jobs is they refuse to get a vaccine or wear a mask, and they want to be disease spreaders. They could literally keep their job if they got vaccinated or wore a mask, and they refuse. And the healthcare workers that refuse, they still make excuses for. These people genuinely do not give a fuck about you. Are driver's license authoritarian then? They are not. And you could make the same argument to gun people, and they'll say, actually, yeah, driver's licenses are authoritarian, and it's insane.
got fired in one state alone because they wouldn't go along with a mandate from Big Pharma to enrich them. And here's what he said. Here's why we did. Black business owners collapsed by 41%. Black business because of lockdowns. Do you care yet?
Well, no,
70,000 workers in one state were fired because of vaccine mandates. When are you going to care? Do they all have to be trans? What are you going to care about these workers? What are you going to care about? What are you going to care about this? So anyway, I would just like to get your response to that. It was a very frustrating interview for me because I thought if there was ever a time for a third-party candidate to make a headway in this country, it's now. And he's on purpose throwing it away by incorporating the professional managerial class language and lexicon into his campaign, which is there to divide people and keep us from coming together along class lines. And luckily I'm not as dumb as a Harvard professor that I can see through that. Too bad he's not. What do you have to say?
Well, you know what? I think that, what I long for is someone who will speak to universal issues of human dignity and actually crunch the numbers. If there are 25% of people who have college degrees, and of those 25, maybe 13% are part of the PMC elites, then you have the majority of Americans who don't go to college, who are going to work non-professional jobs, and whose lives are real.
Okay, college participation among Gen Z is already dropping. There's no... this is voluntary participation in college among Gen Z is dropping massively. There's no, there's less competition for college per capita of people than ever now, is there not? I may be wrong on this, so correct me if I'm not. But, there's, record low rates of young people pursuing higher education right now, right? I think it might be up for women, but it's still kind of flatlining a little bit for them. But it's that they're rising from a pretty low spot prior, the whole historical thing of all that. But yeah, just across the board, we're seeing much lower. Yeah. After finals week, I've stopped judging dropouts. Well, no, I mean, I'm talking about statistically. I'm pretty sure I've seen actual data. And if you guys want to quick Google this up for me to confirm this, because I don't want to spread lefty misinfo, I'm pretty sure we're seeing voluntary record low per capita higher education participation from young people right now, from college or high school graduates. I had to drop out for financial reasons. That's probably a big part of it, to be fair. I hate this idea that rich, they're basically trying to claim that rich black people are profiting off of affirmative action and stealing spots from these poor white people. And I don't mean poor as in poor white people, as in poor, don't have money white people. And it's this has never been demonstrated to be as significant of a problem as any of these people make it out to be. Is it worth maybe amending the way that we handle affirmative action programs? Sure. Is it worth axing the concept entirely? I don't think so. I don't think just saying, nah, fuck people who've had worse off upbringings. That's not good. And I don't even think we're going to see advocacy for, income-based affirmative action here, are we? These people claim to be, focused on the economic side, the sort of worker and owner side of discussions around politics, the theory side of things, the discussions around the working class and the capitalist ruling class. Why is there no discussion around how we can fix these social problems with economic solutions? Why is there no discussion around how supposedly socialism or socialist reforms would solve these problems? They don't even bother because they know their audience. They know their audience doesn't give a fuck. An absolute fuck. Does this get interesting at any point?
Working 90 hours supremacy, gives white people this get out of jail free card. Why are the largest numbers of poor people in America white? What's wrong with them? Can't they just go?
Because white people are most Americans. I'm sorry. You know for a fact if you look at statistics and you look at per capita numbers, you know for a fact. While most poor people are white, most white people aren't poor. That's the big difference between white people and a lot of other racial demographics and their social and economic status currently on average in this country. Most people in the U.S. are white, so no shit, most poor people in the U.S. are white. But if you look at, say, American black people, most American black people are poor. That is not true of white people. And yes, there is less poor black people than poor white people in total. Clearly, one group is having a much bigger problem with poverty than the other group. Now, this doesn't mean we shouldn't solve poverty for everybody, but if you're going to try to racialize the issue, let's not pretend like one group isn't clearly getting it worse than the other by only looking at sheer numbers, when the numbers are as heavily weighed as they are. Yeah, I don't know. This shit is actually, like, incomprehensible. Like, I think my brain is... I'm getting dumber for having listened to this video.
And I could be demonized just for coming on your show. I don't really give a shit anymore. But
no one knows who
what happens is, like, you can't morality play and somehow repeating Romania all over the world, renovating it and then pumping up the rent like 3 times. The giant hedge funds, they have way too much money, and politicians have let that happen. So if someone's not talking...
This shit's all about getting conservatives on board with socialism by convincing them you can be, like, in favor of pro-worker stuff, which is pretty appealing to, like, a lot of, working class people, obviously, without having to be anti-racist or, like, anti-gay or anti-trans, right? Like, they're basically trying to sell socialism and communism to bigots by saying, yo, I know most people who are socialist or communist and care about workers' rights also care about the rights of minorities, but you don't have to care about the rights of minorities and be pro-worker. We can fight for the white, straight, heterosexual working class. We got to get that social commentary out of there. We got to get rid of the message. Just absolutely shoving the boot as far down your throat as you possibly can. It's hard to even call this left-leaning politics anymore. It's really just right-wing politics disguised as left-wing politics. Nazis, pretty much. This might actually be unironic National Socialism. Like, he might be slowly moving towards the ideology of National Socialism. Doorstepping, it's called. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I like that. He might just straight up be becoming an unironic through and through Nazi. I can't argue against that theory that I made up myself right now, and no one else is arguing against it. I don't know. I really hate this populist bullshit. I thought the Nazgul Vortex was as big and bad as it was going to be back during the Bernie or Bust movement, but apparently it's going to get worse, because I see some startling things in the horizon when you consider the popularity of Hassan and just the fact that he's been very well normalized and his politics are getting closer to that of Jimmy Dores by the day. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. I'm curious to see the comments on this one. Alrighty, everybody. Nice. I'd say that was a good stream. And a good seggy. Nice, 6 segments. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, I don't like seeing a MAGA communist on Fox News. That's scary. People like that shouldn't be taken seriously enough to get on TV. Yeah, it's quite worrying, Heavy Gretel. It's very worrying. Don't worry, I think for the next, 10 minutes or so, I've got some interesting stuff we can look at before I wrap things up. And I'll find somebody that we can raid. I know that currently Vosh is live, which is, I got a surprising amount of 300 people watching right now while Vosh is live is pretty nice. I've actually been trying to stream more often while Vosh is live so that, like, the people in his audience that watch both of us but prefer his streams will go watch him, and I can get a better idea of, like, my stream's progress on their own, Wonderstruck is streaming on Twitch. Oh yeah, we can host Wonder. Hell yeah. Send me the link. I'll hold on to it. But first, tomorrow I'm going to be going to the store and getting a boatload of, well, I'm going to get like 3 or 4 normal bird feeders for seed, for like normal seed-eating birds. But then I'm going to get like 20 hummingbird feeders. I finally got my own backyard, and the time has come to start speckling it with an insane amount of hummingbird feeders filled with nectar, and to start building up my army. I want the wild birds to consider my backyard to be like an aviary, an open sky aviary, and I want my quail to feel as though they've got lots of friends coming to visit every day. Plant a butterfly garden? I very well might. I very well might. White people when they have to eat without watching YouTube? True. True. Have you guys seen the amazing Z Frank video on hummingbirds? This video is required watching. This is important hummingbird lore. We're not going to watch the whole thing because no content stealerino, but I feel like this is a good way to like wrap things up.
This is the hummingbird. Hummingbirds are tiny.
This is the exact same kind that I had back in California.
Little birds, so tiny that moths are sometimes mistaken for hummingbirds.
That's a moth.
And the blue jays, you know how they are, they tease, "Where's your pupa?" And then the hummingbirds like, "It's pronounced pupa and I'm not a moth." But if you start correcting the pronunciation of the bully, you're a nerd bird. And they're like, "Hey nerd bird, are you gonna stick your freaky fingernail tongue into some flower's sexy hole?" And to be honest, that one is actually fair. They do have a freaky little tongue. We'll get back to that in a second. But you don't just wake up one day saying you want a deep tongue of flower, just like no one has a to-do list that includes trying to snort cocaine residue out of a shag carpet. It's just the sad outcome of a very serious addiction. Flowers contain nectar, which contains sugar, and hummingbirds are addicted to it. Jerry, I don't need the phonetics, I can read. But this isn't some hiding a bunch of Kit Kats in random drawers around the apartment kind of sugar addiction. You know who you are. These little hummers drink more than twice their body weight in nectar each day, using their tongue. And this is no ordinary run-of-the-mill tongue. The back part is fleshy like ours, but it has a bone in it. Don't judge. The long front part, however, is made of keratin, like a fingernail. And this fingernail tongue grows in a curious shape. If we zoom in, you can see that a cross-section of the tongue looks like 2 tadpoles that got into an argument. On closer inspection, it looks like a thumb smear wipe of mucus on a windshield. But magnified further, it resembles a fancy reclaimed wood cheese board you got as a gift, but don't use because cheese gets in those little cracks and holes. It's bullshit. However, if you zoom in all the way...
Yeah, charcuterie board, like wooden charcuterie boards are, yeah, they're not the most sanitary. Wooden boards for, like, meat and cheese and stuff, not good. Wooden board for, like, crackers, fine.
You know what that looks like. That is the pattern on a mead composition notebook. The very pattern that contains a spot that looks precisely like a cross-section of a hummingbird beak. Anyway, you can see that it forms 2 not rolled up all the way fruit roll-ups. I know what you're thinking, 2 straws, right? Wrong. As if nature ever does things the easy way. Even if you close the tubes up, they back into that fleshy bit, so no sucky-sucky. Instead, Dr. Margaret Rubega and her team discovered these are flexible mechanical pumps. When the hummingbird sticks out its tongue, it smushes these tubes in its beak parts. A thin layer of water molecules keeps it smushed, even though it wants to return to its tube shape. On contact with the nectar, the whole thing springs open and pulls the nectar into the tubes. The loaded tongue is pulled back into the beak, where the nectar is squeezed out during the next tongue flattening. And this all happens very quickly, 15 licks every second, and they will take over 1,000 of these drinks a day. That's a lot of lick friction, and so this fingernail tongue is continuously growing as the tip wears down. But these little badasses make the most of everything, and even the wear and tear is an engineering marvel. Watch what happens right...
Well, let me fast forward a bit so you guys can get an idea of how big of badasses these things are. These guys, let me just tell you, the hummingbird is the symbol of the Aztec god of war and the sun. You're about to find out why.
My unit's based on the size of a king's unit. That's what a shitload is. One king's loaf. Anyway, these jacked up Hummers are caught in this crazy trade-off. If you want to take 1,000 drinks, you have to be quick, in all directions, so you get small. And you can't store what you eat as fat or it'll slow you down. So you end up constantly converting the sugar you eat to energy so that you can get more sugar to eat. And if you stop, you starve. It is a vicious bicycle. Jerry, it's cycle, it's not short for bicycle. So with all that going on, you can't blame them for being a little bit aggro sometimes. And by a little bit, I mean crouching tiger, asshole hummingbird sort of aggro.
They fight.
They can be vicious little
time.
bastard birds. It's like MMA.
They do nothing but fight. They fight, drink, eat, fight, drink, eat. All day. It's what you watch them do. They get into insane aerial battles that are like fucking dog fights from World War I. And then whoever wins the spot on the feeder drinks until another bird comes to fight them, and they get scared off, and then they go to catch some bugs and eat up, and they come back to reclaim their spot on the feeder, and they fight like hell to get it. So it's basically just a non-stop battle. Non-stop battle at your hummingbird feeders when there's more than one.
But on a trapeze, and with swords. It's a Jet Li movie. Hummingbirds will often aggressively defend a territory. They have remarkable spatial memory, and their territory can be a long path of flowers that they visit each day, referred to as a trap line. But of course, a well-hung feeder is the motherlode. Jerry, Freud would have a field day with that sentence. You need help. Your background patio is basically a SummerSlam wrestling event, with tiny birds beaking the shirt out of each other. Some species take it a step further, and the males have full-on weaponized beaks, complete with dagger-like serrated toothy things on their tomia, the outside borders of their jaw parts, as well as hooked tips. The fairies don't even try to ride these ones. They're too dangerous. I mean, if they find a dead one, they'll take the beak off and make 2 saws out of it, use them to cut down twigs to make toothpicks.
This video is great. I'm gonna link it in chat. I'm gonna link it in chat for all of you guys, so you can go watch the rest of it on your own time. It's a very good video. And of course, quail shall be coming in spring. In spring. Oh, I'm excited to do quail. It's gonna be fun as fuck. I have to, before we do quail, I have to buy a real camera. And part of getting that real camera will also allow me to start the podcast with Demon Mama. So around the same time that I'm able to pick up a new, proper, like, DSLR camera that I can hook up to a capture card and get like seriously high quality video, both for recording videos and for live streams and for recording the first episode of the podcast in real life with Demon Mama in person. I think I'm going to get a couch like right back there. I'm going to set up like a little setup there, and that's where me and Demon Mama are going to do the first episode of the podcast. We've already talked about wanting to do it in person for the first episode, but then after that, it'll be like remote, just like most podcasts are like that. And then on like particularly special episodes, we do them in person. And I think maybe for the next one, we'll go to her house to do like the IRL episode, and we'll do it on her set, which could be cool. But yeah, pretty hyped for that stuff. There's a lot of really cool stuff to be excited for. And snow. Dude, every day I'm waking up and checking out my window, fingers crossed that there'll be snow. And it gets colder, just a little bit colder every single day, and it's raining. It's raining a lot. So I just know. I know for a fact the snow is coming. The snow is coming. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not the day after tomorrow or the day after that or the week after that, but it's soon. It's sooner than later. There will be snow. I will have snow outside my own house. Nothing can stop that. I'm so excited. Dude, I'm so excited. I've only seen snow like 4 times in my life, dog. Of course I'm excited. Of course I'm horny to see snow. Let me count you how many times I've seen snow. Actually, technically, I've seen it a few more times. I saw flakes falling. This is my first time ever seeing snow. Seeing small, sparse flakes of snow falling that I didn't even realize what it was at first. Outside the airport in Atlanta, Georgia, in April of all months, very light snowfall. I was stuck inside the airport and couldn't go outside to see it. but I was able to see it through the glass of the airport window, and I didn't realize what it was at first, and I was like, whoa. Whenever my mom was like, that's snow. It's April in Georgia. Okay. So yeah, that was really surprising. I think that was in like 2007. So it might have been a famous day of snowing in Atlanta when that happened. You might be able to like literally tell me the exact date. But yeah, anyway, I saw snow then. And then the most snow, like my next time seeing snow after that was in North Carolina. It had recently been a hurricane that had come through the East Coast, and that meant way up on the mountains, like it was weeks before, but way up on the mountains, there was still like little crevices and cracks where there was still like piles of plowed snow. It was all dirty and gross, but it was still there, hadn't melted all the way yet. And so I was able to play in this big pile of plowed snow from a parking lot of an apartment complex that had all been plowed into one giant pile that was maybe the size of like the amount of trash you could fit in a dumpster. If you like completely just made that into a pile, imagine it was all snow, and that was how much snow it was. It was the most snow I'd ever seen in my life. I'd never seen snow on the ground before up until that point. And I was like 11 at that point. And then I went to Colorado for vacation when I was like 14. And we stayed in a cabin up in the mountains, and it snowed like crazy. It was just a week that I was there, but it snowed almost the entire time I was there, and significantly. And it was a blast. I loved it so fucking much. It was so goddamn fun. I liked it a lot. But sure enough, it's been a decade since then. Reconnection successful. Good. Is it going to come back? Are we good? Are we good? Is it going to stay this time? Is it going to stay this time? I think we're good. I think it's going to stay this time. Cool. Okay. I think we're good. Sorry about that. The stream just randomly dropped out. I was just going to finish up by saying, though, the last time I saw snow was up on Mount Shasta, which is a fair amount, but me and Demon Mama were, like, passing through, and in a, not like a crazy hurry, but, you know, we're trying to make good time, so I didn't really get to, like, stop and play in the snow much. The most time I got in the snow was, like, recording my videos, which is nice. Demon Mama was really good at holding, like, the camera and acting as, like, backup for my, live, completely, like, no computer in front of me to, like, keep track of points segments where it's just me, like, talking to the camera. So it was nice having her as, like, both someone to hold the camera and to be like, don't forget this, you know? She was really good at that, so it was fun. It was really fun doing that. Those were good segments. But with all that said, there will soon be some outside segments I plan to do once it snows, because I mean, once it snows out, I mean, I got to do some outdoor segments. I got to do some outside segments, you know? I got to enjoy the snow while it's here and use it as like a nice little set type thing. Anyway, with all that said, guys, you have all been enormously supportive today and so kind. I really appreciate you all for coming out. You've all been awesome as hell. I told you guys it wouldn't be a drama stream. I told you. I told you. But yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow. Expect at least as many segments, because I want to really start churning out content coming in 2024, especially with the election and all that good stuff. And yeah, I hope to see you all here tomorrow. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a good one. Oh, wait, first I got to make sure I host. Who am I going to host? 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 Oh, I'm hosting. I'm hosting. Wonder? Oh, hell yeah. All right, everybody. You must go to Wonder's stream. You must follow. And you must say I sent you. You must say Xander Hall raid. And a heart to indicate it's not a hate raid, because hate raids are common and people might think it's a hate raid. So go, and I shall now host Wonder. Thank you all so much for coming out today. I love you all very much. You've all been amazing. You're all awesome and kind, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye, doo-doo fart.